CFAX Victoria,
an iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It is 6 o'clock on Monday, June the 12th. And here we are at 6 in the morning, and it is 18 degrees. It's a warm one, and it's going to be another warm day as we get into it. And we'll get you the full forecast in a moment. Right now, the news begins, and we say good morning to Lisa Best.
Good morning, Ryan. We came out of the weekend. It was hot. It was dry. And yes, we do have a wildfire to tell you about. That was sparked yesterday. It's currently being held by crews. So that's good news. They're getting a quick start on it. Discovered Sunday. It is, looking at the map, just about southwest of Cedar, along a river, Nanaimo River, actually. So keeping a watch on that. Hector and size being held. Good news coming out of Vancouver Island for a hot, dry weekend. But of course, we had 15 wildfires burning across BC, and 4 started in the past 24 hours. In the Waterway area, residents of 24 rural properties northwest of Pemberton continue to keep watch on the levels of a nearby glacial lake, which is created by a melting glacier. The Squamish-Lillooet Regional District says the properties remain on an evacuation alert first issued June 7th. Experts continue to monitor that temporary lake created by the Place Glacier as it melts. The district says the lake continues. Estimated depth of about 24 meters is about the same as it was June last year when a previous glacial outburst caused flooding in the area. An evacuation alert means that residents, of course, have to be prepared on short notice to leave their homes. The BC Supreme Court making a ruling on homes in a fashion found a City of Victoria bylaw meant to restrict overnight camping in some city parks is legit. In its ruling, the court found the bylaw was legislative in nature and falls within a reasonable interpretation of the scope of the city's authority. In other words, they were staying within their lane on making that choice. 3 homeless petitioners sought to quash the bylaw that dealt with overnight sheltering in Irving and Victoria West parks. The petition is dismissed without prejudice to the 3 bringing any action to directly challenge the constitutionality of the bylaws. Starting today, military police will no longer accept criminal code sexual offense complaints ahead of an expected passage of the Liberal government's military justice system reform bill.
Bill C-11 will strip the military of its jurisdiction to investigate and prosecute sexual offenses involving Canadian Armed Forces members committed within the country and hand those cases over to the civilian justice system. The legislation follows on past recommendations from 2 former Supreme Court justices, including Louise Arbour, the current Governor General. Arbour concluded in a 2022 report that military members don't trust their own military justice system to handle these cases. Karen Rebo, the Canadian Press.
The G7 on this week, it'll focus on the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz.
Top of the list of priorities for G7 nations is reopening the strait. France and Britain have a proposal to help with that. They are offering warships that could help escort tankers through the strait and also get rid of any mines. That proposal is expected to be discussed as part of wider talks on the Middle East, both at a leaders' dinner that kicks off the G7 this evening and through the next 3 days of talks to Wednesday.
Meanwhile, the U.S. president is touting the, quote, great deal, unquote, that he made with Iran. Trump is claiming it will bring peace and security to the entire region, as well as getting the strait open again.
This initial agreement, according to a senior administration official, leads to the dismantling of the Iranian nuclear program, leads to the United States destroying and removing enriched uranium from Iran, calls for inspections to ensure a long-term commitment and that it's long-term enforceable. And Iran gets rewarded economically only if they meet the obligations under the deal.
Anthropic says it has taken its newest AI models offline following a U.S. administration directive to ban their use by foreigners. ABC's senior White House correspondent Selena Wang was on the Start Here podcast to explain.
Anthropic says the government didn't provide specific details about why they wanted them to shut this model down for foreign nationals, but said it thinks the government had become aware of a method called jailbreaking or bypassing the safety guardrails of their advanced model. Now, their view, though, is that it wasn't as serious as the government made it and that it was a simple issue that they were referring to.
And the FDA, medical professionals, and the company that makes Benadryl are out with a warning to teens and parents about the potential deadly risk posed by a new TikTok challenge.
The viral dare posted to social media encourages young people to take up to 25 Benadryl tablets at once to achieve a euphoric high, even hallucinations. Richard Preston's daughter tried it last week.
She was perfectly fine Sunday. Within 24 hours, she's laying lifeless.
Hundreds of kids have been hospitalized after overdosing on the over-the-counter allergy medication. At least 5 have died since the TikTok challenge was first issued in 2020. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
That's your news to 6:05. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. We're asking, do you support ending door-to-door mail delivery, as Canada Post has decided for many addresses? 56% say yes. You can vote at CFAX1070.com. Also on the iHeartRadio app. I'm Lisa Best, your news time, 6:06.
Thank you, Lisa, and good morning. Welcome to Monday, a warm one already with 18 degrees. The temperature we're sort of sitting at, for some of Victoria, I see 15 at the airport. That's the official temperature, but some areas are feeling warmer than that right now.
It's the humidity.
Yep, that humidity's there. It's going to be cloudy, though. You know, we're going to see some sunshine today, but a bit overcast, but really warm. So that's the situation heading our way, and the details are coming. But let's get right to sports, and I don't even know where to begin. There's so much sports right now. There's too much sports right now.
Crowbar to get it all in.
There's never too much sports. Here's the thing. We're going to start with the World Cup, so let's get to it.
This is your TSN Radio FIFA World Cup 2026 update.
I'm John Rodenberg. Two of the favorites got their tournament underway. Germany thundered Curacao, the smallest country ever to make the tournament, 7-1. Kai Havertz had a pair of goals for Germany. The Netherlands had 2 one-goal leads, but had to settle for a 2-2 draw with Japan. Cote d'Ivoire scored in the 90th minute for a 1-0 win over Ecuador. Sweden blitzed Tunisia 5-1. Today, 4 more games, including a first game for one of the tournament heavyweights. Spain taking on Cabo Verde at noon Eastern. Spain superstar Lamine Yamal has been cleared from injury and could play. Canada arrived in Vancouver on the weekend after their 1-1 draw with Bosnia Friday.
Kone driving forward. Played through towards Kyle Larin! It's Kyle Larin with the goal!
Canada's first ever point at a World Cup. They'll play Qatar on Thursday. You can watch the FIFA World Cup matches on TSN, CTV, Crave, and streaming at tsn.ca. Listen on the TSN Radio Network with all games streaming on the iHeartRadio app.
I got to admit, watching Canada get a 1-1 draw, I mean, on paper that doesn't sound exciting, but knowing this was Canada's first ever point at a World Cup, its first ever goal at a World Cup, there was something special about that. Like, it just felt like a giant victory, despite the fact that, you know, again, on paper, 1-1 draw.
It was, but for me, learning all about soccer very quickly, I had no idea that it winning a point was such a big deal. When in basketball...
No, it's true.
You know, even hockey sometimes, depending on the team, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyways, you're going to unpack more about that coming up.
Yeah, let's talk about some soccer in a bit. But we also, of course, I mean, the other thing is there's a Stanley Cup winner.
Someone won?
Somebody won the Stanley Cup.
Someone who deserved it?
Well, I mean, I think so. The Carolina Hurricanes. I mean, I wanted the Canadian team to win. Can I? Real talk for a second. I didn't pay as much attention personally after the Canadian teams were all eliminated.
I think we all check out as
That's
Canadians.
How I do it.
And, you know, we check out because unless we know a Canadian player on one of the U.S. teams, it's hard to... Because you're crestfallen, it's Canada, and, you know, we're weed it out, and suddenly we're back to the U.S. It's like, okay. So it's hard to stay invested. But I was vying for the Hurricanes.
Good. Well, there you got your team.
Well, because a 20-year drought,
Yeah.
I just thought that was fair.
Yeah, Carolina
I like
Hurricanes. Yeah, they win their first Stanley Cup championship in 20 years, and they did it by beating the Vegas Golden Knights yesterday, 3-0. And Hurricanes' 37-year-old captain, Jordan Staal, won the Conn Smythe Trophy for playoff MVP, and he said that he's always believed in what the team was working towards, and MVP is a great topper to all of that.
An amazing feeling to be able to build something like that, and then top it all off with this is, it's an absolute dream come true.
And now let's just talk quickly about some local sports. We had in soccer, back to soccer for a second, Pacific FC in action yesterday. Still looking for the first win of the season. 10 matches in now, 0 wins. And a loss yesterday to Vancouver FC. 2-1 was the score. So that now puts their season at 0 wins, 3 draws, and 7 losses. And the Victoria Harbour Cats in baseball last night with a 9-1 win over the Springfield Drifters at home here in Victoria. They had a win on Saturday as well, but lost the first one on Friday to the Drifters. So 2-1 was the result of that series for the Victoria Harbour Cats. And that is your sports to 6:11. Let's do the CFAX 1070 traffic and weather, shall we? It is 12 minutes after 6. Right now, no crashes or accidents or major issues like that on the roads. You can text me if I'm wrong at 71010 if you do see something out there. But yeah, all of our major routes right now seem to be in good shape. Starting today, Cook Street closed between Pandora and Mason. It's a 24/7 closure, and it's going to last about a week. Crews are doing some underground utility work there, so this is going to be a big one. Cook Street again closed between Pandora and Mason for the week. And then at the BC Ferries, we've got 7 o'clock sailing coming up with lots of vehicle deck space left. And now to the weather forecast, because there's lots going on here. Today's the last day of the heat. We are expecting increasing clouds through the day, but there could be a few sunny breaks still. But, a bit more overcast compared to the weekend. We will start to see a bit of wind blowing off the Juan de Fuca Strait as well. So that's going to start to creep in as we start to leave the heat. But it's still with us today. We're going to have a high of 26. A humidex of 28, so still feeling very warm, just like it did yesterday. But again, that wind kind of moderating things if you're by the Juan de Fuca Strait. Tonight, lows down to 14 degrees. Tomorrow, mainly sunny with a temperature only hitting a high of about 22 degrees. And we're going to see quite a bit of wind as the wind sort of blows the previous weather pattern out of there. It's going to be breezy tomorrow and a little cooler. It's sunny right through the rest of the week, and temperatures will be in the low to mid 20s. So still quite warm, just this hot, humid stuff is leaving us. That's your forecast right now. What are the temperatures? Well, it's varied, but in Saanich by the University of Victoria, we are still seeing 18 degrees. It's not far off that in some places, but a little cooler if you're right by the water. For instance, Oak Bay, right on the waterfront, it's 14, and the official temperature at the Victoria International Airport is 15. On the markets, the North American stock markets will open a little later this hour, so let's take a look at how last week closed with Aaron Sousa.
Markets starting the week strong. Toronto's S&P TSX on Friday was up 266 to close at 34,937. In New York, the Dow climbed by 353 and the Nasdaq gained 79. In Tokyo, a tentative deal to end the war in Iran sent the Nikkei soaring by almost 3,300 points. The Hang Seng in Hong Kong added 124. Our dollar is trading at 71.55 US. Prime Minister Mark Carney is off to the G7 summit in France. An An end to the war in Iran is expected to dominate talks. U.S. President Donald Trump is set to attend the summit, but it's unclear if he'll meet with the PM. Canada's ambassador to the U.S. takes the stage in Toronto today. Mark Wiseman will join BMO CEO Darrell White for a fireside chat. Expect talk of cross-border trade and investment challenges as the July 1st CUSMA deadline looms. And new data on housing starts is expected today from the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation. From the Canadian Press Business Desk, I'm Aaron Sousa.
CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Thrifty Foods this Saturday from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. The first 200 kids aged 12 and under are invited to decorate a free brownie for Dad at all locations. It is Father's Day this Sunday.
I love when they hold these.
I like this.
Didn't they have a Mother's Day one too?
They did, yeah. Same thing.
Easter one.
I think they did it. Was it a cookie or a cake? I can't remember from
just
Mom.
something simple. But kids working with icing, what could possibly go wrong, right?
It's better when it goes wrong when it comes to this
food fight.
Yeah. So that's going on at Thrifty Foods.
Don't attempt your morning commute without us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
This is the big one, Lisa. We have hit the end of the CFAX Summer of Rock, and we need to give away the Guns N' Roses tickets sometime during the morning show today.
All right.
So good morning. Welcome to the show. It is Monday. It's a hot one, and we've got a hot prize to give away. I think we're going to do this around 8 o'clock, just after the news and the sports and the weather and the traffic and all that.
Sounds good.
So 8 o'clock hour, there's your heads up. If you have entered, if over the course of last week you heard a Guns N' Roses song and you texted the word rock to 71010, we're going to pick one of those entries and award them the tickets, the Helijet flight to get to Vancouver to see Guns N' Roses play in Vancouver. You're going to get Rosedale and Robson Street hotel accommodations, and it's all brought to you by the Sax Point Pub in Esquimalt. That full prize, we'll draw that name. We'll call the winner. This is the thing that's important. You've got to actually pick up the phone to win. You got to.
That is key.
Close the deal at the other end.
You got to answer.
So be listening. I'll call. If you pick it up, you win. But you got to pick up the call.
What happens if you don't answer?
I go to another name.
That's not fair. Got to answer the phone.
It's the rules.
I know.
I'm just following the rules.
I don't like the rules. Did you know Sax Point Pub, they have cooling beers?
They have what?
Cooling beers.
What's a cooling beer?
It's a scientific thing.
What does that mean?
You drink it, you feel cooler.
Oh, I see. You know what they got there? And it's, I guess other people would have it too, but they have a salted lime lager.
Oh, hot those day? Are great in the summertime.
Hot day?
Yeah.
Patio? I mean, like
nice
today maybe?
Too.
Yeah. Sax Point Pub. Try the salted lime lager.
We're not blowing smoke here. They're good. Very good.
You know what else is good?
What?
Listening to you read the news at 6:17.
Such a charmer. Full-scale strike by unionized outside workers for Metro Vancouver. Not a time for this to happen. For locations from parks to construction sites, this is about to get underway this morning. The Greater Vancouver Regional District Employees Union had said that members have been without a contract for 17 months now and accused Metro Vancouver management of ignoring their concerns. Of course, this is where the focus of the world is on, the World Cup. Vancouver, one of the host cities, of course. Metro Vancouver has said it respects the right of lawful job action and remains focused on a deal. The latest offer to workers includes a wage bump of more than 10% over 3 years. Talking about bump, that tentative deal to end the war in Iran and open the Strait of Hormuz has sent stocks soaring and oil prices plummeting. Oil prices went down more than $4 U.S. barrel early this morning on news that the Strait will soon be reopened. So we can all cross our fingers. After repeated false starts and promises, investors were betting on this time that the war might actually end. This as the U.S. president confirms the initial agreement and authorized an end to the U.S. naval blockade of Iranian ports. And the Prime Minister is heading to France today for the G7 summit. He was over there earlier, too, setting the stage for himself. He is set to meet with the President of the European Council, as well as the European Commission, before attending a working dinner on geopolitical and economic issues. The U.S. president also expected to attend the summit, which comes one day after he announced an agreement that has been reached to end the conflict in Iran, the conflict that the U.S. and Israel started. That is your news to 6:19.
Thank you, Lisa. Coming up next, we are going to be talking about an event that's coming up in Victoria. And I've lost my notes here.
Gone away. It's
They've
Monday.
Gone away. Well,
It's a Monday.
I'm getting a case of the Mondays. That's what's happening here. We're going to be learning about this event. The executive director of the Island Prostate Center is going to be talking about the Father's Day Walk and Run that's coming up. Obviously, like I mentioned earlier, Father's Day is on the way, and that's a good chance to think about things like that's prostate health. So let's get into that in just a moment after traffic and weather. CFAX activity, traffic, and weather at 6:22. I want to actually start with the weather because we got another hot day today. Increasing clouds, but some sunny breaks is sort of what's in store. We're going to see the mugginess back with a humidex of 28, so feeling like 28 in the mugginess, highs of 26 otherwise. We are starting to see some wind blow off the Juan de Fuca Strait, though, today. A little more so maybe than the last couple of days, which will moderate things if you're by the Juan de Fuca Strait where the wind is blowing. A few clouds overnight, lows down to 14, and then we're kind of out of the heat. Today's the last day of it. We're going to see that transition tomorrow with a fairly gusty wind off the water, blowing the weather pattern out. We'll see mainly sunny skies, though, and highs of 22. Then the rest of the week is all sunny with temperatures in the low to mid-20s, so it's still very warm. I think just some of this real hot mugginess that we've seen over the last couple of days, that situation is leaving, but still warm and sunny for the rest of the week. And right now it is an example of that. It's still quite warm. Right now I'm looking at 15 degrees at Swan Lake in Saanich, and in Langford right now it's 17 degrees.
Thanks for starting your day with us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Father's Day is coming up. There's your warning. It's coming. Don't forget if you need to remember. But we're starting to look ahead already, and some of the community events that you can look forward to are already here on the schedule to talk about. And this one is for a good cause. The Island Prostate Center's Father's Day Walk and Run for Prostate Cancer is coming up on the 21st. Through Camosun College Trails. And Executive Director Leanne Kopp is on the line now to talk about it with us. Hello, Leanne. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Great to talk to you about this. Can you introduce the Island Prostate Center to us first off and what it does for people in the community?
Absolutely. Island Prostate Center, we're a not-for-profit organization that supports men and their families who have been diagnosed with prostate cancer here on Vancouver Island. We are a small but mighty organization that, in a healthcare system that can be isolating and confusing, the programs that we run are in conjunction with, your healthcare provider. No referral is needed to our organization, but one of the flagship programs of our organization is that when you're diagnosed, you have a lot of questions, concerns, and you don't get a lot of time with your doctor. So this is where we come in. We have the opportunity to, through our Nurse Navigator program, support these patients, give them education, give them all the information that they need to make a right treatment decision for them, and then support them from diagnosis all the way through recovery, through support from our Nurse Navigator program, but we also run nutrition programs, exercise programs. Again, gaps in the healthcare system is what we're trying to fill and just be a big support for men and their families. 1 in 8 men are diagnosed in our community, so you know that there's a lot of people who are impacted by this disease, and we are here to help.
That's so cool. But why does prostate cancer specifically require, something different than a different cancer?
That's a great question. Our organization was started 25 years ago by 2 doctors who saw the rise of prostate cancer and what that was going to be looking like in our current healthcare system. And just because of the aging population of the island and the age demographic of people impacted by this disease, there are a lot of people who need the support and care with this disease because prostate cancer is the most diagnosed cancer in men. And it's great that we here on the island have this unique organization that is not unlike any other organization across this country, and that we are able to play a partner in care because of all. We see over 600 people through our door who are newly diagnosed or going through treatment every year through the center, and those numbers just continue to rise. So you can see that there is a great need for our organization here on Vancouver Island for sure.
So for men, prostate cancer, that's the big one here on the island.
That is the big one. Well, anywhere actually. Yeah, prostate cancer, across the world is the number one right now for men for sure.
There's the need, there's the importance, and then this weekend we've got the Island Prostate Center's Father's Day Walk and Run. Talk about what the event is like.
Absolutely. This event has been going on for 23 years, so it's become a family favorite for so many families in our community, and it really and truly is a family event. It is taking place in Camosun College. Through the trails there, we have a 3K and a 5K walk run. It's not competitive event at all. It is just a really nice morning. It starts at 10 and we're wrapped up by noon, so it's not impacting a huge part of your Father's Day activities. But it really is a great way to come together and honor those men who have gone through prostate cancer or going through prostate cancer, because there's a lot of people who just wants to support people who they know have gone through this disease. It's a walk run, there's a pancake breakfast, lots of kids activities and entertainment, and all of the money that's raised through this event supports Island Prostate Center. We don't get any government funding to support the work that we do. So community events like this are so vital to continue the support that we offer into our community.
And is it one of those things where you get people pledge to you to, I'm going to do this walk run, give me some donations, and off they go to the Island Prostate Center? Is that how the fundraising works?
That's exactly how it works. Okay. So if you register, and there's still lots of time to register, you can just go to our website, which is Island Prostate Center, and it's CENTRE.com, and you can register. And then when you register, you get your own fundraising pledging page, just like you mentioned, and people then can support you. But even if you're not able to participate on Father's Day, every bit of donation helps to support the programs that we provide.
And it's at Camosun College? That's where the event will be taking place? Is that interurban campus?
That's right, at the interurban campus, and there'll be lots of signage and lots of volunteers, so no one gets lost. We'll show you the right way of where you're going when you get onto site.
Cool. That's coming up this weekend for Father's Day, and I'll say a couple of other things. If you're wondering, the trails through the interurban campus, you got a 3K option or a 5K option, and you can bring your dog, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. The furry friends of all families are also welcome. The trails are completely accessible, so wheelchairs, strollers, everyone is included in this family event for sure.
Amazing. Thank you so much for telling us all about this. Good luck with the event, and thank you for what you do with the Island Prostate Center. Leanne Kopp, Executive Director. One more time, the website, if people want to go check this out.
Sure. It's www.islandprostatecenter.com.
Cheers. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll take a quick break. We got your traffic and weather coming up with what's going on. The roads are clear, but the weather's hot. And Lisa's got your 6:30 news all next.
Developing political story, a big doozy.
Vashi Capellos.
What started as a dull day is anything but.
The top newsmakers.
Your go-to political debrief. Daily.
What is really going on?
The breaking news.
Just moments ago.
And the entertaining analysis and debate to follow.
I don't think you can sugarcoat it. It's an issue.
It's not true, guys. Yeah.
Vashi Capellos.
There is a greater plan here.
Vashi Capellos. Weekdays, 9 a.m. to 11.
Bigger picture politically, which is
on CFAX 1070. CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It's 6:31 on Monday, June 15th, and we've got 15 degrees as the official temperature at the airport. Even warmer for some parts of Victoria right now as the heat continues. A full forecast coming up, but right now the news begins. And we say good morning to Lisa Best.
Good morning. Thank you, Ryan. After spending the weekend in Ireland for a visit to his ancestral home, Prime Minister Mark Carney now off to France for the G7. CTV's Mike LeCouture is traveling with the Prime Minister.
During his two-day visit, Carney tried to deepen economic ties with Ireland. While the Conservatives aren't criticizing the trip, they are lamenting what they call the lack of results.
He's been jetting around the world without negotiating a single new free trade agreement with any country anywhere on planet Earth.
Like making it simpler to do business in Ireland, in Europe, we create enormous opportunity for Canadian jobs.
Economic cooperation will be part of the G7 Leaders Summit over the next 3 days. However, it seems unlikely that CUSMA will be discussed by the Prime Minister and President Donald Trump.
Well, we're starting with the details. A major step towards the end of the war in the Middle East. There's word the U.S. and Iran have now reached an initial agreement to end the conflict and also reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Donald Trump is calling it a great deal and says it will bring peace and security to the whole region. ABC's Karen Huff has the latest details from Washington, D.C.
Trump saying that he ordered the immediate removal of the United States naval blockade on Iranian ports. He says the strait will reopen entirely and toll-free after the deal is signed later this week, saying, "Ships of the world, start your engines. Let the oil flow." Iranian officials confirming the deal, which is set to be signed in Switzerland on Friday. Vice President J.D. Vance is expected to attend.
Here's Vance on the topic.
If they continue to try to rebuild their nuclear program, this deal ensures they will never have the resources in order to do that. On the other hand, if the Iranians are willing to give a long-term commitment, along with proper verification to giving up that nuclear weapon, we're willing to welcome them into the world economy, to lift some sanctions, and to turn over a new leaf in that relationship.
A joint statement on the deal from Canada, France, Germany, Italy, and the UK calls it a diplomatic breakthrough and a moment of opportunity to restore regional stability. In reaction to the word on this deal, of course, oil prices have fallen to a 3-month low, so possibly we'll see a change at the pumps. We can expect that possibly this week sometime locally. Prices this morning haven't moved much, around $1.99 a litre for regular. The UK is banning social media for children under the age of 16. Southern Canada just did. Prime Minister Keir Starmer in that country announcing today that he believes big tech is fully capable of making great products while also protecting our children.
The innovation is incredible in AI and what is going on. Don't tell me that it's impossible for those innovators, those people who are brilliant at technology, to devise the ways to protect our children, and I think we should.
Anthropic says it has taken its newest AI models offline following a U.S. administration directive to ban the use by foreigners. ABC News White House correspondent Selena Wang was on the Start Here podcast to explain.
It was just days ago that Anthropic rolled out this highly anticipated model, their most powerful one ever, a whole new tier they've named Mythos Class, with a public-facing version called Fable 5. But then on Friday, Anthropic says the U.S. government stepped in, that the government issued what's called an export control directive, telling Anthropic it couldn't let any foreign national access these new models, citing national security, but not giving detail on what those concerns were, according to Anthropic.
And that is your news to 6:35. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. We're asking if you support Canada Post ending door-to-door mail delivery for many addresses. 56% say yes. You can vote now at cfax1070.com and also on the iHeartRadio app. I'm Lisa Bastian, News Time, 6:36.
Hey, thank you, Lisa. We have a hot one again today. It's already about 15 degrees or warmer, depending on where you are in Victoria, and it's going to eventually hit a high of 26 with a humidex of 28. Full details to come. It's the last day of the heat, though. So Stanley Cup playoffs, they're over. We got a winner in all of this. The Carolina Hurricanes win their first Stanley Cup championship in 20 years, beating the Vegas Golden Knights 3-0, taking the best-of-7 championship showdown 4-2 by winning 3 in a row after trailing the series 2-1. Now, earlier in the show, I was mentioning... I didn't know who to cheer for here because, I was cheering for the Canadian teams and then there was no Canadian teams.
Right.
But I had a text message and I think they make an excellent point.
Okay.
The Hurricanes are coached by Rod Brind'Amour.
Okay.
Who is from Campbell River, at least partially. He spent some of his time growing up on the island. Uh-huh. So, Matt, thank you for reminding me of that. So I'm going to just now, after the fact, hitch my wagon to the Carolina Hurricanes. How's that?
No.
Is that fair?
With that. Well,
is that nothing wrong with that?
You want to be at the party, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. So Rod Brind'Amour, Campbell River guy, and the Hurricanes coach says he's
very local.
Says he's proud of Jordan Staal, by the way, because he not only won the Stanley Cup but also was named playoff MVP.
I'm proud that he was able to do that in front of the whole hockey world, and everyone got to see now what I've known forever, what kind of player he is, but a leader. We're not hosting that without him. It's just not even close.
Brind'Amour also captained Carolina to its 2006 title, the last time 20 years ago it won the Cup. So kind of a fun full circle there. What's going on in the rest of the sports? Well, there are 4 World Cup matches on today's schedule, all of which are being played in the United States. Although it was cool to see BC Place Stadium on Saturday with the Aussies. Anyways, Belgium and Egypt play in Seattle today. Iran squares off with New Zealand in Inglewood, California. Spain and Cape Verde play in Atlanta, and Saudi Arabia and Uruguay meet in Miami. Canada plays our next match against Qatar on Thursday in Vancouver. So that's the World Cup of soccer. Let me tell you about local soccer. They still haven't got the win. Pacific FC taking on Vancouver FC yesterday. It was a 2-1 win for Vancouver. And with that, after 10 matches now, Pacific FC still looking for that first win of the season. In local baseball, Victoria Harper Cats spent 3 games hosting the Springfield Drifters. Last night in the final game, it was a 9-1 win for Victoria. Harper Cats also winning on Saturday, although it took 10 innings to do it. And on Friday, the Springfield Drifters had the win. So that, by the way, was an 18-9 win for the Drifters on Friday. But the Harper Cats got the other 2 and take the series overall. Next up for the Harper Cats, they will be taking on the Redmond Dudes tomorrow. There you go. That's your sports to 6:39. And by the way, the whole morning show brought to you by Bluebird Cabs. Need a cab? Download the Bluebird Cabs app at Bluebird Cabs LTD. They're proudly local and Canadian owned and run since 1946. CFAX activity, traffic, and weather. One thing that will be a bit of an issue on the roads today and all this week is another construction thing happening. Cook Street between Pandora and Mason, so that stretch is going to be closed 24/7 for about a week starting today.
There's also a sign up,
Yeah.
the electronic sign up on Cook Street saying from the 15th, which is today, for the next 10 days that southbound Cook is closed too.
Oh, this is a different one. That's the one
portion
at,
of it.
that's Beta Hillside, right?
Right. So they're still working on that. The lines aren't even down on the roads, and they're slowly putting the bike lanes in. So be aware of that too. That's going to squeeze again.
Yeah, and so what they're doing there is the bike lane concrete.
Right.
I think that's going
I
in
got
today.
some of it up, but not all.
Yeah, so that's going to be happening today and for the next few days, like you said. It starts at 7, they say. So right now, at this very moment, you're okay, but come 7 o'clock, southbound on Cook Street closed from Beta Hillside.
So that means squeezes to one lane either direction? We're thinking?
Yeah, I think so.
North
yeah.
and south, yeah, they're both on the other side. So it'll be tight through there again. And there's no lines on the road. So I went through it yesterday on the bike. And so it's just a little weird because you've really got to pick your path properly. So just be aware.
Basically just Cook Street all over the place. It's just
Tell us what street isn't under construction.
That's true, yeah.
It's easier.
That'll be a faster traffic outlook. Okay, but that's Cook Street today in construction. But the good news is no crashes or any problems like that to tell you about right now on the commute. So we do have no sailing waits at BC Ferries either. It's fine for 7. Lots of vehicle deck space left. And in the weather forecast, you're looking at a day that's going to be a mix of sun and cloud, but hot, humid in the midst of it. A high of 26, a little cooler by the water. We're going to get some wind off the Juan de Fuca Strait, maybe a little more so than the last couple of days. So that'll moderate things if you're right by the water or if you're, in the western parts of the capital region. But the humidex of 28 is going to make it feel quite a bit warmer in the humidity like we've had for the past couple of days. But it's the last day of it because it's going to go down to 14 tonight with the wind kind of blowing things out. Mainly sunny tomorrow, but quite gusty. Highs only to 22 degrees, cooler by the water. And then we're just settling into a sunny week with temperatures in the low to mid 20s. So a bit cooler, but still quite warm.
That's perfect, actually.
Yeah.
That's doable.
A bit more moderate.
It was a bit toasty on the weekend.
I was quite fond of it.
Me too. Because
But-
I knew it was going to be short-lived.
But if you had to do anything like physical out there, it was going to be kind of warm.
Guilty as charged.
Which you did.
250K on a bike.
Oh, yes.
We were human popsicles.
And you got to wear all the gear, too.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cover
Well,
up.
Good on you. Well, let's do this. Let's take a look at the business news now. We're awaiting the first numbers from North American stock markets as things just open up, but I can tell you that on Friday, big gains for everything. S&P TSX up 266 points in Toronto to 34,937, so that was the close on Friday. Yeah, for the Dow in New York, it was up 353 to 51,202. The Canadian dollar at 71.5 cents U.S. in overseas trading.
In the kitchen, in the car, and at the office. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Take us with you. Listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
Oh, and here on a warm Monday, it's time to do this.
Getting into the garden.
Well, this ought to be good.
It's very creative. With Ryan and Lisa.
Wow.
Yes, love this time of day as we get into the garden with Fiona Hammersley-Chambers. Fiona, how's it going?
It's going. We're harvesting seed crops. Suddenly, here we are.
Yeah, it's already, I mean, it feels like it. Man, with the heat, it is certainly summer already. Things are going. And we're going to talk heat, actually, as one of our big topics. How to beat the heat in the garden is something we're going to be discussing coming up. So stand by for that. But, Fiona, can we run something by you a little unorthodox? One of our big news stories last week had to do with kind of gardening and urban farming. In fact, it's the city of Victoria just exploring or talking about this idea of, could we put garden plots on the roof of the Johnson Street Parkade? And we had a few text messages last week with people saying, like, does that even make sense? Is that an exposed area? Would that be a good spot to grow things? So we just thought we'd ask your opinion on rooftop gardening on the top of a parkade in downtown Victoria.
Ooh, interesting. What do I think about that? I mean, generally, I think more food is good food. I generally think that more people learning how to grow food again or having the opportunity to do that is great. We import so much of our food on Vancouver Island, and we used to be a net exporter. And now I think we import 97-98%. Like, what happens if there's the big mega thrust earthquake and the ferries are cut off? Like, I'm fond of saying that learning how to save seeds and grow food is, until there's an emergency, is the equivalent of waiting until you're in northern Alberta at minus 40 in a blizzard to figure out how to change your tire, right? Like, learn how to do these things now, enjoy them. And yeah, rooftop gardening downtown, I could see that being a thing, because lots of people live in apartments and they don't have access to garden space. I grew up partly in the UK, where people have allotment gardens, and it's a big part of the history. And also the allotment gardens are really close to the center of villages, so you could bike or walk out to them. And we just don't have that same kind of planning here. So, yeah, I think it's kind of a neat idea. I guess the first question people are going to ask is how many parking stalls are going to be lost.
16.
16. Okay. Trade-off. 16 less cars downtown in return for gardening space. I don't drive downtown, so I would say yes. What are the benefits of a space like that? Let's look at that from a plant's perspective. The benefits would be you'd have quite a bit of heat, I would expect, because you've got all that cement structure underneath. For a lot of plants, it's not the daytime high so much as the nighttime low temperatures that really define the success of the crop, especially for those hot season heat-loving crops like peppers. So, I think on top of a parkade makes sense from that perspective. Probably less rats on the top of a parkade than down at garden level where it would normally be. Maybe some human people who come and nibble at night. I don't know. What else? What about pests that would be up there? What about seagulls? How would seagulls get into your garden? How would you protect it from things that would come along?
Well, we got to leave that there, but thanks for weighing in on the parkade rooftop garden chat. That's been one of the things going on in the news. But hang on, we're got to take our break. Lisa's got our news, but when we come back, let's talk about the heat. It's hot out there. What does that mean in the garden? How do you beat the heat? Fiona Hammersley-Chambers, our garden guru, is here, and she's back in a moment.
That's right. Good morning. Prime Minister Mark Carney off to eastern France today for the start of the G7 summit. Before leaving Ireland yesterday, Carney says he expects geopolitics to loom large in this week's discussion, even more so now after word of a tentative possible U.S.-Iran peace deal. Carney told reporters he doesn't expect to talk about a Kuzma with the U.S. president, but instead he anticipates conversations to happen on the sidelines of the summit between trade officials of both nations. Starting today, military police will no longer accept criminal code sexual offense complaints ahead of the expected passage of the Liberal government's military justice system reform bill. Bill C-11 will strip the military of its jurisdiction to investigate and prosecute sexual offenses involving Canadian Armed Forces members committed within the country. Such cases will now be handed over to the civilian justice system. And the U.S. president marked turning 80 by announcing that preliminary agreement to end the war and a UFC cage fighting event on the White House lawn. Trump suggested before the fights that the deal with Tehran means the U.S. will lift its blockade, the strait will reopen. However, crucial details remain unresolved. The UFC event, which was also part of the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence in that country, featured 7 fights and thousands of spectators. That's your news to 649.
We're talking about gardening in the heat with Fiona, and we're back in just a moment after traffic and weather.
An iHeartRadio experience. You and a pal in Montreal and Oshiaga with 4 nights at Residence Inn downtown Montreal. Flights from Porter Airlines, 2 weekend gold tickets, and $1,000 cash. Lord, Zara Larson, T. McRae, Somber, 21 Pilots, and more. Download iHeartRadio. Listen to this station for 10 minutes and enter to win Oshiaga 2026. Every day you listen is another chance to win.
CFAX activity, traffic, and weather. It is 6:51 on a Monday morning. Things are looking pretty calm out there when it comes to crashes, accidents, anything causing trouble. So if you see anything, let me know. But right now, I got nothing to report. For the BC Ferries, Swartz Bay to Swassen, 7 o'clock sailing is coming up, and there's lots of vehicle deck space left, so no sailing waits. And then in the weather forecast, it's the last of the big heat event that we've had for the past couple of days. It's kind of with us again today with a humidex of 28, so feeling like 28 in the humidity, a high of 26 otherwise, and cooler by the water. We're going to start to see some wind off the Wandafuka Strait today, but more so that'll moderate things a little bit. And we'll see quite a bit of cloud in the day. Even though it's quite warm, we'll see some overcast conditions. Then it all starts to clear out tonight. A few clouds with lows to 11, bit of wind blowing. Tomorrow, mainly sunny, still windy, highs of 22, so quite cooler. And then we settle into just sunshine and temperatures in the low to mid-20s for the rest of the week. So it's still very summery ahead of us. Just the real muggy heat that we've been in for the last couple of days will be over after today.
Ryan and Lisa. Mornings on CFAX 1070. Remember, you have us in the palm of your hand. For listeners on the go, listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
Let's get back into the garden with Fiona Hammersley-Chambers from A Chosen Farm, joining us as she often does on a Monday. And Fiona, the thing on everybody's minds, of course, is how warm it is. Beautiful weekend. We got more heat today. How's that going for you?
Well, it's always a bit tough. We watch the weather report like other people watch the hockey scores. So, we had a bit of fair warning about what's coming down the pipe. Spent a lot of last week really trying to finish the transplanting in the field garden, getting the irrigation lines down, testing them to make sure they're working and there aren't very many holes. And we like to call it the irritation. And then just mulching. We're using a lot of mulch right now. And then we also, this is a good trick for folks in their gardens as well. If you know that it's going to be hot, again, water at night, do a deep water like we did, apply some mulch, make sure that your soil is covered as much as you can. And that kind of preparation before the heat hits can be really critical to your plants not being too stressed.
So I have potted plants, and they get quite a bit of sun in the afternoon. Beyond the watering, is there any way to protect them? Can they get too much sun?
Oh, absolutely they can. So growing stuff in pots can be a challenge, especially, they're talking a lot about this super El Nino that's building. So recommended for pots. You can group your pots together. That will also stop them from getting as hot, because they don't have the same exposed surface area all the way around them. When you're choosing pots for your garden, you can choose some lighter colored ones instead of the black plastic standard ones. If you're growing in terracotta pots, before, like the unglazed ones, before you put anything in that pot, I would recommend getting a tub of Vaseline and smearing that all around the inside so it soaks into the terracotta.
What?
Oh, really?
Stop it from... Well, yeah, because you're basically planting in a giant sponge that pulls moisture out of your pots, which is why you often see cactus and succulents in terracotta pots. But if they're not glazed on the outside, they're not very friendly to a lot of plants, especially through a summer. And they're high maintenance. Who wants to sit there watering for half an hour a day?
I do find I have to water a lot more with the unfinished terracotta.
So if you can hack it and you've got some fairly established plants in there, you can just tip them out and smear the Vaseline now and then just pop the soil ball back in again.
This is why we talk to you, Fiona. Just randomly every once in a while, just drop a. Why don't you Vaseline your terracotta pot?
That's
tip.
a hack.
That's a hack. Was not expecting that.
Can you also put something on top of the soil, like you said, mulch? But I use like pale colored beach stones and driftwood, things like that.
Yeah, that works. I spent a fascinating couple of days in the American Southwest once looking at the traditional dryland farming that people used to do down there pre-contact. And it's amazing. These areas are still there because the stones are pretty resistant and don't really move around. And you can see where people were using flat stones to basically be a mulch around their plants.
Cool.
I guess you learn to use what you got around.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's not like they're going to go anywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it helps with wind.
Yeah, it kind of feels like we're in the American South with the weather it is right now. It's hot out there. We're talking about beating the heat in the garden with Fiona Hammersley-Chambers from A Chosen Farm. Before we run out of time, final tips for people out there, things you should think about. You mentioned water deeply at night. You've mentioned mulch is always good, or Vaseline on your terracotta pot. What else should we be thinking about?
Well, with pots, again, you can group them together. You can move them to a shaded zone, even if it's for a few days while we get the worst of the heat. You can wrap your pots in something like an old sheet or some burlap sacking. And really, if there are plants that are struggling in your pots and you've got a garden space, maybe just plant that plant in the garden and give up on the pot.
Well, we'll leave it there, but enjoy the weather, everybody. It's warm, it's lovely, but you got to just think about your plants sometimes in moments like this, and that's why we got you here. Fiona Hammersley-Chambers from A Chosen Farm. Check them out. They're in the heart of A Chosen, or they got a website and all that too. And we'll talk again soon, Fiona.
Thanks, Ryan. And if I can put a little plug in there, we have plants that are still on the farm stand. Everything is on a super sale because we don't want to be watering little plants in little pots. So there's some great deals to be had out there. Please come and take them away, and then I don't have to water them.
I love it.
Fair enough.
All right, have a great day.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Quick break. We got the 7 o'clock news coming up. Top stories of the day with Lisa. Then we've got your sports, including a Stanley Cup winner to tell you about, and the World Cup of Soccer continuing with games on today, with the full report coming up next.
CFAX Victoria,
An iHeartRadio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It's 7 o'clock on Monday, June 15th, the last day of the big heat event we've been in. Right now we are starting the day off fairly warm. It's officially 15 degrees at the Victoria International Airport. Texter at 71010 says it's 18 degrees right now in Mill Bay. A full forecast to come right now. The news begins, and here is Lisa Best.
With all this heat, we have 2 new wildfires sparking on Vancouver Island, both yesterday. One is southwest of Cedar. Coastal Fire Center says it is considered being held. It's about a hectare in size on the north side of the Nanaimo River. The other is in the wilderness northwest of Lake Cowichan, and that one considered under control at this point. There are a total of 15 wildfires burning province-wide as of this morning. 4 new starts in the last 24 hours. One of those is considered burning out of control. That is northeast of Terrace, BC, and northern BC. One more day heat across Greater Victoria, and the BCSPA officials are reminding you about the risk of leaving your pet in a hot vehicle, even for a few minutes, can be a problem. Leaving the air conditioning on, the windows down, and parking the shade seems like good options, but they're not fail-safe because pets sweat and take in heat differently than we humans do. Last year, the BC Animal Helpline opened 607 animal protection files about animals in hot cars specifically. 151 of those were reported on Vancouver Island, the Gulf Islands, and Sunshine Coast. So far this year, the helpline has opened 143 files, and it really hasn't been that hot for prolonged periods of time just yet. You may want to wait to fill your tank as world markets react positively to that new deal between the U.S. and Iran that will end the war. We're waiting to see if the ink dries on this one. The president of Canadian for Affordable Energy, Dan McTagg, says prices at the pumps may drop this week.
We're nowhere near where we were back on February the 27th. We weren't paying for summer blend gasoline. That's an extra 8 cents. And we didn't have the benefit of the federal government dropping the excise tax. But it is coming down.
Now, the U.S. and Iran have reached an initial peace deal, which extends the fragile ceasefire for 60 days and would lead to the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance discussing the agreement on ABC.
We're willing to give significant sanctions relief if the Iranians make the kind of long-term commitments that are necessary to be a normal country, to give up their nuclear weapons program, to stop funding terrorist activities all over the Middle East.
You can bet that is going to be a major topic discussion as the Prime Minister, Mark Carney, heads to eastern France today for the G7 summit.
While in Ireland on the weekend, Carney told Irish news outlet RTE that the war in Iran would be topic number one at the G7. He said Russia's war in Ukraine is also a key issue, as well as trade and emerging technologies. At the summit today in Evian-les-Bains, Carney will meet with the President of the European Council, Antonio Costa, as well as European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, before attending a working dinner. While it's unknown whether Carney and Trump will sit down privately over these next couple of days, Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc and U.S. Trade Rep Jameson Greer are set to connect on the summit sidelines. Karen Rebo, The Canadian Press.
Well, speaking of Ukraine, in the capital Kyiv overnight, a cathedral situated in an 11th century monastery, which is one of the holiest sites for Orthodox Christians, was struck and badly damaged during overnight Russian drone and missile attack. ABC News foreign correspondent Tom Sufi Barrage says that attack killed at least 10 people as well.
Video from Ukraine's emergency services shows the golden domed roof of the 11th century Uspensky Cathedral on fire. On a visit to the site to survey the damage, Ukraine's President Zelensky said the building, which sits within a sacred monastery, was struck by a Russian drone. That monastery, known as the Lavra, is not just one of the holiest sites in Ukraine, but all Orthodox Christian countries, including Russia. Hours after the attack, Moscow claimed, without evidence, that the building had been hit by an American-made Patriot air defense missile. Tom Sufi Burridge, ABC News, at the Foreign Desk.
And something lighter in entertainment news, the latest film from Steven Spielberg is a big winner at the box office.
Full disclosure to the whole world.
Disclosure Day earned about $44 million this weekend, well ahead of analyst expectations. It was also enough to put Steven Spielberg's alien thriller in the top spot at the box office this weekend.
I thought we were having a nice day.
Meanwhile, horror fans remain obsessed with Obsession, taking in $19 million for second place.
Be back.
And in third place, Scary Movie, sliding 70% from its debut last weekend, made $14.5 million. Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
That's your CFAX News to 7:05. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. We're asking you about Canada Post. Do you agree with ending door-to-door mail delivery for many addresses across Canada? 56% say yes. You can vote now at CFAX1070.com or also on the iHeartRadio app. Lisa, best your news time, 7:06.
Thanks, Lisa, and good morning. Welcome to the day. Texter at 71010 says it's 20 degrees at Mill Hill. That's in Langford, where, the overnight temperatures didn't really cool off too much for quite a bit of the region. 15 degrees is the official temperature at the airport, but much warmer in some places. And I'll get you the full forecast in just a moment as we head into the last day of the big heat event. Right now, though, over to the CFAX 1070 Sports, where the Carolina Hurricanes won their first Stanley Cup championship in 20 years, beating the Vegas Golden Knights 3-0. Vegas took the best-of-7 championship showdown 4-2 by winning 3 in a row. Hurricanes coach Rod Brind'Amour says it wasn't until the score into an empty net that he was sure they would win this for the Hurricanes.
But up until then, you don't want to let yourself, think that it could happen. And I don't know what else to tell you. Just couldn't be prouder of the group.
And as some textures are celebrating, we can kind of say, hey, Rod Brind'Amour, the Campbell River guy, is a bit of a local win here as well. For
Got a mystique to it.
I like that. Hurricanes 37-year-old captain Jordan Staal as well won the Conn Smythe Trophy for player MVP. So that is what's happening in the world of hockey. In soccer, at the World Cup, there are 4 matches on today's schedule, all of which are being played in the U.S., so no Toronto or Vancouver games for today. But we'll see Belgium and Egypt play in Seattle. Iran will square off with New Zealand in Inglewood, California. Spain and Cape Verde play in Atlanta. Saudi Arabia and Uruguay meet in Miami. So Canada's next game, we're not playing until Thursday. Qatar and Canada will go at it in Vancouver. The Canadian team, though, has arrived in Vancouver, so they're going to be there getting ready from here on in. Now, in local soccer, Pacific FC still seeking that first win. They were playing Vancouver FC yesterday. Vancouver wins over Pacific 2-1 in the game. Pacific FC now 10 matches in, have a record of 0 wins, 3 draws, 7 losses. Victoria Harbour Cats in action for the games against the Springfield Drifters. Yesterday, it was a win for Victoria, 9-1. They also won Saturdays in 10 innings, and then the Springfield Drifters took Fridays 18-9. So that was the Friday match. But yeah, the Harbour Cats get the next 2 after that to close out the series yesterday. And that's your sports to 7:09. CFAX 10 City Morning Show brought to you by Thrifty Foods. This Saturday from 10 in the morning until 1 in the afternoon, the first 200 kids aged 12 and under are invited to decorate a free brownie for Dad at all locations because, of course, Father's Day is coming up. That's brought to you by Thrifty Foods. Now to the traffic and weather. No crashes on the roads, but there is some construction to tell you about. Actually, quite a few hiccups along the way for Cook Street. On first off, Cook between Pandora and Mason starting today. 24-hour, 7 days a week closure for like a week. They're doing some work there, some underground utilities for the big construction project nearby. So that is Cook closed now between Pandora and Mason just for the week. And then Cook Street southbound from Bay to Hillside, there's also obstructions there as they put in the bike lanes. They're installing the concrete, so southbound closure, Cook, Bay to Hillside. For the weather forecast, that's the big thing today. Let's talk about the heat event, which continues into today. It's the last day of it, but we see another warm one with the humidex of 28, 26 degrees otherwise. A bit cloudy, though. It's going to be a mix of sun and cloud through the day today. Then tonight, a few clouds, lows down to 14, so we're going to get cooler overnight compared to what we just have went through. And then tomorrow, it's mainly sunny, but a bit windy off the Juan de Fuca Strait, and the temperatures are much more moderate, down to 22 degrees, but 16 by the water. The rest of the week is looking sunny and warm, just not as warm, with temperatures in the low to mid-20s right through the rest of the weekend into the weekend. Right now for the temperatures, though, as we just had that text from Mill Hill in Langford, where they said it was 20 degrees where they are. It is quite warm. The official temperature now up to 17 degrees at the Victoria International Airport. We've turned around and we've started going up again. First look at the results from North American stock markets on the day. In Toronto, S&P TSX has gained 338 to 35,276. The Dow is up 594 to 51,796. The Nasdaq up 645 to 26,534. We are seeing stocks leaping worldwide and oil prices dropping after the U.S. and Iran reached a tentative deal on their war. So we're seeing that kind of play out on the markets. That crude oil price, for instance, down $4.50 to $80.23 U.S. a barrel, a far cry from the over 100 it was at a while ago. Canadian dollar at 71.5 cents U.S.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Oversleepers, catch all the highlights on the latest audio podcast at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
The World Cup of Soccer is here. Vancouver getting rave reviews from fans of both Australia and Turkish soccer teams after the city hosted its first ever World Cup match over the weekend. Police say no major incidents. Everything was great. Good. Lots of love in the air. Australia defeated Turkey 2-0, by the way, in front of a sold-out crowd of roughly 52,000.
Wow.
That was that's
That's
crazy.
Healthy crowd.
Yeah, it's been neat to see. I have to admit, I've been quite captivated by it, but it's becoming an issue. Here's my problem, Lisa.
You have a problem?
Well, the problem is, like, I'll go by. There's just games all day, so I'll go by and be like, "Oh, it's the World Cup. I'll just sit down and I was going to do something, but it's a game on."
Okay.
And then you go about your day, and then you realize, oh, wait, there's another game on. Well, I'll just sit down and I'll watch it. I got caught in front of the TV so many times over the last few days. I don't know.
It's like scrolling with soccer.
Yeah, I've got to find a way to balance my productivity with watching these soccer games. But the thing that I also noticed during all of my soccer watching.
Yes.
Has anybody else noticed and kind of scratched your head over the hydration break?
Oh.
Are you aware of these
Steve
hydration
was having
breaks?
a moment Friday about that.
I'm sure Steve's got some
thoughts. What are you talking about, hydration break?
So the one thing I love is as you're watching the games, halfway through a half, they will start putting up this big graphic. It's the fact that it's got like a name and it's got a fancy like graphic that shows up on the screen.
Yes.
Hydration break. And then you go to a commercial for 3 minutes.
Oh.
So in theory, I was looking into this. I was like, what? Like, I've never seen this before in soccer. I've watched soccer before. There's no hydration break.
I've never seen that in
What
games.
is this? What is this?
Okay.
Because usually soccer, you play for 45 minutes plus stoppage time straight. There's no stopping. And then
These
you have your
guys are
half.
super fit.
Then you have your half, and then you play another 45 minutes straight with no stopping. There's no break. Well, I guess what's happened is FIFA, this is an official thing, FIFA itself mandated the 3-minute hydration break midway through each half in all of its games as a health thing. Because, it's summer, it might be hot. In fact, it is quite hot in some places.
Yes.
See Vancouver over the weekend.
Of course.
Very warm. So this is water breaks for players' health. And this has a bit of a history because back when the Brazil World Cup happened about 10 years ago or so, and some of the games were getting to like 39 degrees Celsius.
Yes.
At that time, the referees were able to, at their discretion, stop play for a hydration break because it was so hot.
100%.
And I guess building on that has led now to this mandated 3 minutes per half. But the thing is, it's mandated regardless of whether it's actually hot out, regardless of whether this is one of those like enclosed climate-controlled stadiums, of which there are some.
Yeah.
So some people are like, well, what if you don't need the hydration break?
Correct.
Well, here's the thing. Is this just an excuse for a commercial break?
No.
I wonder.
You think?
Well, yes. I mean, you're being facetious, I know, but I couldn't help but saying, like, this is just North American television networks finding a way to squeeze a commercial break into here, because that's one of the problems with soccer is there's not a lot of places to put a commercial break in, and you're trying to sell advertising. I was also looking into this. So
this
obviously,
is all new here. Yeah.
Obviously, if you're watching it on our local TV networks, you get the commercial break. Apparently, though, some of the other parts of the world are so offended by this that they refuse to take a commercial break, and they just keep playing whatever's going on, and they just call. They're just talking about like, oh, they're doing a huddle. They're talking about this. They recap things in the game.
So they just okay.
They because if Europe, say in Europe and in like I think the Telemundo Spanish broadcast.
Yeah, I'd be mad about that.
All of those they don't take a commercial break. They refuse, and it's a big thing apparently.
Gate.
There's a big there is this hydration break gate going on in the world of soccer.
It rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it?
It so does. But that's my.
Well, we like to think it's these games are built on team spirit and fan appreciation, but really it's advertising. Advertising is a huge part of it, and so I don't know. Maybe the players don't mind the break. You'd have to ask the players too, the teams how they feel about it. If they don't want it, then fine. But if they do need, there's a lot of emotion that goes into soccer on the field. I notice. I find even sometimes more so than other sports, definitely more than baseball, players get pretty heated. And what's with the falling down my ankle hurt and suddenly my foot's falling off?
Oh, well, that's just classic soccer.
I saw that Friday and I was a little dismayed.
A little
it's like,
bit.
You were super fit. Get up. I saw the fall. I can take that hit.
You're fine. Get up.
You know, if I can take that hit, you certainly can. I just, between that and the hydration breaks. But I'm with you. I'm learning a lot more about the game than I ever have. And I know maybe I'm late to the party here, but I am Canadian, and hockey and baseball are pretty much number one for me. And it's very interesting. And all the trappings around it are very interesting too. Not unlike golf, same thing. When you get to that upper echelon, it's wild. And the amount of money you want to spend, well, Steve will talk about that later this week because he's going to a game.
We got to get sports guy Steve in here. I'm going to try to get him on tomorrow. We can ask him about his trip, which he's going to go see the Canadian game in Vancouver.
Correct.
And he can give us his take on hydration breaks.
Can't wait.
Right now it's 7:18. We got to get to the news. Here's Lisa.
Let's have some more FIFA drama on top of the FIFA drama. The World Cup's racism monitor is urging FIFA to remove a match official over a hand gesture seen during a TV broadcast. FIFA's discrimination monitor says Sean Evans from Australia was seen making the OK symbol with his right hand in front of his leg during the official broadcast of Germany's opening game against Curaçao yesterday. Now, longtime FIFA and European soccer partner, the FAIR Network, says experts have been told that gesture clearly resembles an upside-down OK hand symbol. It's a sign of white power in global far-right circles. FIFA has yet to comment on the incident. That hand gesture is not good. Former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau attended the U.S. World Cup opener against Paraguay rather than his own nation's Bosnia-Herzegovina matchup in Toronto. Trudeau said he made the decision because his current girlfriend, Katy Perry, performed at the pregame show for the match at Sophie Stadium. He wrote on social media, sometimes supportive boyfriend duties call. Ryan just put his hand up because he has to interject.
Because this controversy has been going over the weekend. As much as people love to hate Trudeau, I've got to give him the credit here. Yes, he would represent Canada, but when your girlfriend is performing, of course you're going to go see your girlfriend perform at the thing.
Is Canada? You're not the current prime minister. Is Canada going to be mad that you're not at their World Cup game?
Well, they
were. Is your girlfriend? Well, okay.
Sorry, I'm getting excited.
He doesn't have to be there. He doesn't have a vested interest politically to be there anymore. But is your girlfriend going to be really mad? Yes. Or are you going to be in the doghouse?
Exactly.
He would have been in the doghouse.
Yes, exactly.
So he was doing the right thing for him. And sometimes, personally, that's what you do. He doesn't have to do it professionally anymore. If he wants to take her water skiing or surfing in Tofino, he can. No one's the wiser.
Yeah.
At least they're not chasing him down the beach anymore. Anyways, he did include an emoji of the Canadian flag to show
there you go.
We know he's on board. Like him or not, he's for Canada. Whether you agree with his policies or not, that's up to you. Anyway, another thing that happened, the Kennedy Center does not have the U.S. president's name on it anymore. The word came on the weekend from the executive director of the Performing Arts Center. Matt Flocka made the declaration in a court filing that the federal judge had ordered the removal of Trump's name off of it. It was unclear when the tarp would be removed to reveal the original lettering that, of course, has endured for decades, which is the John F. Kennedy Memorial Center for the Performing Arts, which has always been. A reporter was able to peer through the tarp and saw the lettering spelling Trump's name was no longer on the building. So, change is afoot in the U.S. as well. That's your news to 721.
Yeah, I was ranting about hydration breaks during these World Cup soccer games. Here are a few texts from listeners at 71010. This texter says, "Good morning, Ryan and Lisa. I wonder if the 3-minute hydration break is a polite way for the players to get rid of some hydration."
Well, how often do they take the hydration breaks?
Well, it's twice. So there's
I don't know how that works when a player. Where do they go?
Well, they get a half.
Do they
Anyways,
I never thought of that.
Think about it. This texter at 71010 says there was an Island Youth A Cup soccer final this past weekend. All games had hydration breaks in the first and second halves. But those games
civilized.
Yeah, that was Dave in Esquimalt.
Yeah.
This texter says hydration break hydration break is a break for players to drink. Running 45 minutes is not a joke. No, yeah, I get you. I mean, it makes sense in a way, but like historically, soccer's never had that, and they've managed fine until now.
Right.
This texter at 71010 wants to get in on the Trudeau talk. Does Trudeau not still get a pretty hefty pension by Canadian taxpayers?
Yeah.
So go to the Canadian game, pal, says the texter.
They all do. It's, yes.
And this
Everyone
And this texter says, Katy Perry was wearing a Canada and USA pin on her costume while she performed.
I like that.
So she represented both.
Okay.
And then this texter says, a lot of Canadians have the big hate for Mr. Trudeau, so why do they care? They want to have their cake and eat it. So lots of people weighing in on
Yeah, you don't want
Trudeau
him there,
gate.
so it's kind of a double-edged sword, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, politics. You never win.
You can text us at 71010, join the conversation, but I just realized we were super late to get to our traffic and weather and talk about the fact that coming up, we of course have Father's Day on the weekend ahead of us, and fishing is something that a lot of people will do, dads and the kids. Let's talk about the Father's Day festivities that are coming up to do with fishing this weekend locally. CFAX Activity, Traffic, and Weather. It is 7:25. No crashes, no accidents, no major problems on the roads, no waits at BC Ferries, and the weather. It's hot again today, humid, and a high of 26 degrees, a humidex of 28. Right now, 17 degrees is the official temperature, but we're already quite a bit warmer than that in some places. We're running around 20 degrees here. It's 7:25 in the morning.
Ryan and Lisa are ready when you are.
Good morning.
Day or night, find the highlights under latest audio at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
Well, the next Father's Day festivity stands out for anybody who wants to see if the kids like fishing before you commit to getting them a license. The province is waiving the basic fishing license requirement for many fish on this coming weekend for Father's Day for Canadian residents. So here are a handful of organizations putting on beginner-friendly events on the island. We got the Victoria Fish and Game Protective Association hosting its event on June 20th, which is at Holker Place, just off the Malahat, right by where the Skywalk is. The association's president is Tina Clark, who's on the line with us right now with some more details. Tina Clark, hello, how are you?
Good morning, how are you?
Great to talk to you. Can you talk us through what you're going to be putting on this coming Father's Day weekend?
Yes, absolutely. Saturday morning, we're opening our doors to the public. We will be welcoming everyone from 10 a.m. till 4 p.m., all ages and all abilities. It's a Learn to Fish beginning entry-level program, and it's sponsored by Freshwater Fisheries of BC and BC Recreational Fishing Association. And all equipment's provided, and we have several very skilled folks that are coming out to volunteer their time, including volunteers from Freshwater Fisheries and a ton of education, a ton of fun. And we've been doing it for, I think, at least 15 years, as far as I know.
Wow. And okay, you provide everything, and you don't need a fishing license for that weekend. So this really is, you can just show up and try it out.
That's correct. Yeah, that's exactly the whole purpose. And Freshwater Fisheries also donates fishing rods. So until we run out, all youth leave with a brand new fishing rod as well, which is pretty fantastic.
Oh, that's so cool. And where this location, maybe we should describe the location and what you'll be doing there and what the fishing's like there.
Sure. We have a pond. It's called Frog Hollow Pond. And we stock it annually with trout, and Freshwater Fisheries donates that trout to us. And we recently had it stocked with 200 trout, so they're all in there and happy. And we have all the rods set up around the pond, and each child will be walked through. Each person, not just child, any adult who wants to learn to fish as well. It's open to all ages. We have people as young as 3, as old as, it's endless, right? Into their 80s, coming out to fish. And it's really a great event to see everyone out there doing, learning how to fish, myself included. This is where I learned to fish. So,
oh, cool.
It's really welcoming and really beginner friendly, and that's the best part about it.
And hey, great thing to do with Dad too, if you wanted to make that part of your Father's Day this weekend, which is exactly why you're doing it this weekend. And,
exactly, yeah.
And you just show up, and again, is there any trick to finding it? I mentioned that it's right by the Skywalk off the Malahat.
Right.
Holker Place is the address. Is there any trick to it, or is it pretty easy to find?
It's just past the Shawnigan Lake turnoff on the right-hand side, and it does sneak up on you. So you want to watch for the sign for Holker Road, and you're going to turn right, follow that road all the way to the end, and you'll see an entry gate, and we'll be there welcoming you and signing you in and getting you set up with the equipment you need and walking you through the process.
So this is June 20th. That's the Saturday, right?
That's correct. We also have a Father's Day event on the Sunday as well, and that's our open house Discovery Day, which we haven't held since pre-COVID. So we're pretty excited about that, where everyone can come out, the public, learn how to shoot firearms, archery. There'll be hawk and knife, fishing as well. So it's going to be a big Father's Day weekend at our place this weekend, yes.
Oh, that's great. We're talking to Tina Clark, president of the Victoria Fish and Game Protective Association. Thank you so much for telling us about what's going on this weekend. That's great.
Great. Thanks for calling.
All right. Cheers. And by the way, if you're further up island, maybe you're watching us on the CTV simulcast or streaming us on YouTube, which you can do now. We've got another event for Father's Day, Ladysmith at the Bush Creek Hatchery. They're doing the same kind of thing. That's on Saturday, 10 to 3. The Ladysmith Sportsman Club is doing something like this too. We've got the Cowichan Fish and Game Club on Saturday in Chemainus at Fuller Lake. The Rod and Gun Club's doing one. This is on the Sunday. And Gold River, you got one at Star Lake, the River Rod and Gun Club on Sunday. So there's these same kind of events up and down the island, including that one we just talked about on the Malahat for those in the Victoria area. There you go. That is all the time we have for that, because it's 7:30 and time for the news next.
Developing political story, a big doozy.
Vashi Capellos.
What started as a dull day is anything but.
The top newsmakers.
Your go-to political debrief. Daily.
What is really going on?
The breaking news.
Just moments ago.
And the entertaining analysis and debate to follow.
I don't think you can sugarcoat it. It's an issue.
It's not true, guys. Yeah.
Vashi Capellos.
There is a greater plan here.
Vashi Capellos. Weekdays, 9 a.m. to 11.
Bigger picture politically, which
is on CFAX 1070. CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning, 7:33 on this Monday, June 15th. We're late for the news, so let's get right to it. Here is Lisa Best.
Thank you, Ryan, and good morning. We do have 2 new fires burning across Vancouver Island as we come out of a very hot weekend. Today, 26. It's going to feel like more like 28 with the humidity. 2 small fires sparking, one being held in the wilds of the central Vancouver Island area and one southwest of Cedar. Coastal Fire Center say that one's being held at a hectare. The other one is just under a hectare in size. Continued to be under control. There's 15 fires burning across BC. Only one is considered out of control at this point. It's one new fire that sparked yesterday near Terrace, BC, and that one is held at just over a hectare in size. The G7 summit this week will focus on the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. Finger crossed, this peace deal will take.
Top of the list of priorities for G7 nations is reopening the strait. France and Britain have a proposal to help with that. They are offering warships that could help escort tankers through the strait and also get rid of any mines. That proposal is expected to be discussed as part of wider talks on the Middle East, both at a leaders' dinner that kicks off the G7 this evening and through the next 3 days of talks to Wednesday.
Meanwhile, the U.S. president will be G7 be there, and he is touting the, quote, great deal, unquote, that he made with Iran. Trump is claiming it will bring peace and security to the entire region, as well as opening the strait again.
This initial agreement, according to a senior administration official, leads to the dismantling of the Iranian nuclear program, leads to the United States destroying and removing enriched uranium from Iran, calls for inspections to ensure a long-term commitment and that it's long-term enforceable. And Iran gets rewarded economically only if they meet the obligations under the deal.
Starting today, military police will no longer accept criminal code sexual offense complaints ahead of the expected passage of the Liberal government's military justice system reform bill.
Bill C-11 will strip the military of its jurisdiction to investigate and prosecute sexual offenses involving Canadian Armed Forces members committed within the country and hand those cases over to the civilian justice system. The legislation follows on past recommendations from 2 former Supreme Court justices, including Louise Arbour, the current Governor General. Arbour concluded in a 2022 report that military members don't trust their own military justice system to handle these cases. Karen Rebo, The Canadian Press.
And that is your CFAX News to 7:35. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. Do you support Canada Post ending door-to-door mail delivery to thousands of addresses? 56% say yes. You can vote now at CFAX1070.com. Also on the iHeartRadio app. I'm Lisa Best, your news time, 7:37.
Why, thank you, Lisa. Let's mention that it's already hot out there. Some people reporting 20 degrees already on their thermostats. Mill Hill in Langford, for instance, sending that our way. 17 degrees, though, is the official temperature at the airport, heading towards a high of 26, but a humidity index of 28 degrees, a humidex. So we're going to feel warm again, just like yesterday and the day before. So that weather pattern continues today. Then it leaves tomorrow. We'll tell you all about it on weather. Right now over to the CFAX 1070 Sports, where the visiting Carolina Hurricanes beat the Vegas Golden Knights 3-0 last night to win the franchise's second Stanley Cup. The Hurricanes won the best-of-7 championship showdown 4-2, winning 3 in a row after trailing the series 2-1 to start with. Hurricanes 37-year-old captain Jordan Staal won the Conn Smythe Trophy for being the playoff MVP. And Staal says his family on and off the ice have always been the motivation for him.
I wanted to win that thing so bad, but I wanted to win it so much more for everyone else in that room and how much they deserved it and how hard they've all worked. It just gives me chills that we were able to pull it off for each other, and family was a big reason.
Staal also won the Stanley Cup title in 2009 with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Okay, let's head over to the World Cup of Soccer. For the matches today, all of them are being played in the U.S. Belgium and Egypt will play in Seattle. Iran squares off with New Zealand in Inglewood, California. Spain and Cape Verde playing in Atlanta. Saudi Arabia and Uruguay meeting in Miami. Those are today's matchups. And for the local soccer, Pacific FC still looking for that first win of the season after a 2-1 loss yesterday to Vancouver FC. In baseball, the Victoria Harper Cats beat the Springfield Drifters 9-1 yesterday. That closed at a 3-game series for those two teams. Harper Cats also winning Saturday in 10 innings over the Drifters. And on Friday, it was the Drifters, though, with a 18-9 loss for the Harper Cats to open the 3-game set. But Victoria takes 2 of the 3 games. And that's your sports to 7:39. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps. For a comfortable home no matter the season, big savings on your heating bill. Talk to Coastal Heat Pumps. They're designed for comfort. The South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Air Stage dealer.
Whether it's siding, gutters, or decking, ProTech Exterior Products has it all. Visit beahomepro.com to find out more.
Over to the CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. See a crash? See a problem out there on the roads? Text me at 71010 and let me know, because right now it's looking pretty clear. Usual volume delays for a Monday on the West Shore commute into Victoria. It's not that backed up compared to some days. It's actually fairly light, particularly on the Souk Road Island Highway route into town. That one's looking very light. For the construction work, we have a number of things going on Cook Street. There's a full closure. Kind of Pandora to Mason Street. You can't get down any of Cook Street at that section because of some work that's going to be taking place all this week. So full closure on Cook Street starting today. And then a little further up on Cook Street, there's a southbound lane closure from Hillside to Bay, where they're going to be installing more of the bike lane concrete. So watch out for delays there. Cook Street, just a big problem today. No sailing weights. And for the weather, increasing clouds this morning. We will see a few sunny breaks, but cloudy as well. A little breeze off the Wandafuka Strait. A high of 26, but a humidex of 28. So another nice, warm, humid feeling day. And then this will leave us kind of starting tonight. A few clouds, lows down to 14 degrees, and then wind blowing off the Wandafuka Strait. A breezy day tomorrow with mainly sunny skies and a high of 22. And a temperature more like 16 degrees where the wind blows on shore. So cooling off and moderating tomorrow. But it stays sunny right through the rest of the weekend into the weekend, and temperatures will be in the low to mid 20s. So it's still going to be quite warm, just not quite the heat event we're going to finish off today. On the markets, we're seeing North American stock markets, in fact, markets around the world, continuing to react to news that the U.S. and Iran may have come to some kind of peace deal. The S&P TSX up 344 to 35,281. The Dow is up 597 to 51,799. The Nasdaq is up 586 to 26,474. Canadian dollar at 71.5 cents US, which is down just a tick from the close on Friday. And the barrel of oil is down $5 US a barrel to $79.81 US, which is, a far cry from the over 100 we were at just a little while ago.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Well, a number of World Cup related stories have our listeners chatting at 7:10:10. One is the hydration break. I was mentioning if you watch soccer, you are used to watching 45 minutes, a half straight with no stopping.
Right.
Then you have the half, and then you go for another 45. Except now, there's the hydration break. Is it a real health concern that players need to have a break to drink some water in the hot conditions, or is it just an excuse to get some TV ads into these games? Texters are weighing in on that, amongst other things. This texter at 71010 says, it's Vince here. In regards to the hydration break, I think in general we're just getting a little soft. So there's that. But then this texter says, how many glasses of water do you drink a day, doing little or no physical exertion? People will usually ask for 4 to 6 glasses.
True.
This was a study done before the World Cup. I suggest you ask some of the local Canadian soccer players about this, but I guess there's some science suggesting you need some water. So that's pretty good. I like that opinion. Maybe this is really a good health thing.
Well, if we talk about health and wellness, I mean, maybe it's column A and column B. Maybe it's like we need more water. We need a bit of a break. From all the crazy running we do and ball tricks. And maybe we need to have some advertising in there. Maybe it's both. The advertisers looked at that and kind of salivated and said, yeah, we can get behind that. You want your hydration break? We'll get more ads in.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, chicken egg.
And then the other...
Who asked for it first?
Then the other World Cup controversy that has people talking is about Justin Trudeau attending the USA opening game. This is a couple of days ago now. Instead of the Canadian opening game. Why was Justin Trudeau not in Canada? Well, it's because his girlfriend was performing at the USA game. Katy Perry was one of the opening performers, and Justin Trudeau was there. But a lot of Canadians take to social media to kind of go at him for this.
Throw shade.
Yeah, this texture at 71010 says, maybe some of the Trudeau critics are jealous that they're not cool enough to date Katy Perry. That's from Glenn in Esquimalt.
Or at the game. Or that you have a choice of games to go to, and the other side gets mad that you're not there.
I did like the texter at 71010 who mentioned that Katy Perry was wearing a pin that had both a Canadian and a USA flag on it. So she was representing.
That is nice.
And then finally, a texter saying it's 18.5 degrees at Thetis Lake on my car's temperature gauge. We're getting up to a warm day. We could all use a hydration break today, I think, in the heat. It's already hot.
Does that mean gin and tonics later on the Lido deck?
Does that count? Can I hydrate with that?
Very civilized.
There was an ice cube in my rosé last night.
That counts.
That was hydrating.
That is water in a different state.
Well, at 7:45, let's get to the headlines. What's going on, Lisa?
Yes. We're going to begin with the strike that's underway in Metro Vancouver. The last thing they want when they're on the world's radar with the games underway. But it's a full-scale strike, including 700 workers. They take care of the regional parks, watersheds, water and sewer infrastructure, and also construction sites. The Greater Vancouver Regional District's Employees Union said the members have been without a contract for 17 months and they're done. They accused Metro Vancouver management of ignoring their concerns. The latest offer to workers includes a wage bump of more than 10% over 3 years. A tentative deal to end the war in Iran has sent stocks soaring and oil prices down. So you may see a change at the pumps soon enough. Oil prices dropped down more than $4 US per barrel early this morning on news that the Strait of Hormuz would be reopening. This after repeated false starts. Investors were betting this time that the war actually might end. The U.S. president confirmed the initial agreement and authorized an end to the U.S. naval blockade on Iranian ports. And Gene Shalit, the beloved movie critic and arts reporter for the Today Show, has died. He was 100. Shalit joined Today in 1970, becoming the arts editor. In 1973, he was a middle-of-the-road critic known for his wit and intelligence. He was instrumental in changing the balance of critical power in America, moving it from print to TV, and he was regularly mocked on Saturday Night Live and made cameos on shows like Sesame Street. That's your news to 7:47.
I got to tell you, Lisa, the summer of rock is almost over. So we are going to pretty soon, not now, pretty soon, we're going to be awarding some lucky listener who entered the CFAX Summer of Rock with 2 tickets to see Guns N' Roses at BC Place Stadium August 29th. The World Cup will be done by then.
Okay.
Otherwise, it'd be like a bit of a jumble to try to have Guns N' Roses on top of all the soccer.
You got to take the day off work.
Yeah. Round trip travel from Helijet, overnight accommodation at the Rosedale on Robson Suite Hotel, and of course, it's all powered by the Sax Point Pub in Esquimalt. We have had entries for the Guns N' Roses Summer of Rock contest all last week, and now we've got them all, and we just have to soon reach into that barrel, receptacle, and pull out a name and call the winner. But here's the thing, you got to take the call. You've got to be ready. You've got to be standing by your phone, and you got to take the call, and then we'll give you the tickets. If you don't pick up, we're going to go to the next person.
You got to pick up the phone.
Somebody's got to come on the radio with me right after the 8 o'clock news, sports, weather, traffic, and business, and all that stuff.
What? It would be
All
a
that.
shame for you not to pick up the phone.
You got to pick up the phone. So don't go away. Listen and stand by your phone, because we're going to award somebody the Summer of Rock prize. The final one. This is our last one.
Have your ringer on.
We've done AC/DC. We've done Motley Crue. We've done the Black Keys. In fact, the Black Keys show already happened.
Yeah, I heard that was phenomenal.
And this is our final set of tickets for the Summer of Rock.
Axl Rose wants you there. Slash is calling.
He does. So stand by for that. That's coming up.
Scary.
That's coming. Yeah. It would be kind of scary if Slash was waiting for you. I don't know. All right. We are going to take a quick break here. Traffic and weather coming up. Back in a moment.
Stops and the conversation begins.
Hey, it's Friday. Welcome to the Graham Richardson Show.
The stories that shaped your week aren't just headlines. They are the moments we live through and the decisions that change what comes next.
Let's take a closer look at that together.
It's national conversations. From major policy shifts to the fun, unexpected trends and friends everyone will be talking about. It is intelligent, unpredictable, and completely Canadian. Stay informed. Stay ahead. The Graham Richardson Show. Friday morning at 9 a.m. right here on CFAX 1070.
CFAX 1070 traffic and weather at 7:51. Watch out for a number of construction-related delays on Cook Street. A full closure between Pandora and Mason, and that's all week. Full closure. Can't get through. And then there's some obstructions southbound Hillside to Bay, where they're continuing to pour the bike lane concrete. And for the weather forecast today, it is increasing clouds with some sunny breaks, but we're going to see it a bit cloudy. A Humidex of 28, so it's another warm, humid day just like yesterday and the day before. Might not be quite as hot. Yesterday was quite hot. Slightly cooler potentially than yesterday, but still in that kind of, heat event zone of temperatures. A bit cooler by the water, and we are going to start to see the wind picking up off the water, because eventually by tonight and tomorrow, this whole kind of heat event blows away, and we're still left with sunshine for the rest of the week and into the next weekend, but temperatures will be a little lower, down to the low 20s or maybe even into the mid 20s with a little less humidity potentially as we kind of shift the weather after today.
The best way to start an island morning. Ryan and Lisa on CFAX 1070.
It's National Blood Donor Week, meaning many of us will be taking the reminder to roll up our sleeves and give a substance that can literally save a life. But what often goes overlooked is the perishability of this gift. Researchers with Simon Fraser University have found a way, though, to reduce waste and help ensure rural communities get the supply they need through the power of mathematics. So joining us now to talk about it, we've got the scientific director at Simon Fraser University Center for Operations Research and Decision Sciences, Sandy Rutherford. So let's get him up on the line. Sandy, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Great to talk to you. And then also on the line, the applied mathematics researcher who developed this new model, Jas Dahan, is on the line. Hello, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you.
Great to talk to both of you. I don't know who wants to take this question first, but why is this a problem that captured your attention as maths experts?
I think I'll pass that to Jas.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, for sure. So oftentimes, so I guess I'll give you a little bit of background on the system. So right now, many smaller hospitals rely on their own isolated ordering history, which makes sense locally, but it can have ripple effects across the whole system. Blood sitting is often unused at one hospital and can be out of circulation in another. Essentially, the problem we're looking to find is how do you find optimal targets that ensure equitable access to blood products while freeing up that inventory for other hospitals to use. Essentially giving evidence-based targets, how much stock relative to how much they actually use. So it's a very real, has a lot of real-world impact.
Okay, so, and again, I'm no math guy. How do you work this? Explain how this works.
Yeah, for sure. So pretty much we built what I'll call as a digital twin, essentially a computer simulation that mirrors BC's actual blood distribution network. So that's a hub and spoke network connecting Canadian Blood Services in Vancouver to all of the hospitals across BC. So that includes the smaller hospitals across the province. Essentially, we can run thousands of scenarios through it, and it can tell us what happens if the hospital changes how often it orders or adjusts how much it keeps on hand. It also lets decision makers test policies and safety before implementing anything real.
Okay, and maybe I'll kick it over to Sandy Rutherford here. Is this a theory or is this in practice? Is this being used yet?
It's not, so it's somewhere in between. So we have been working with Provincial Blood Coordinating Office, and they've been using results of the model to kind of review their current ordering practices. However, they're not running the model daily. The model is really to sort of help them basically look at what their current practices are and sort of evaluate whether or not they're really meeting they're able to somehow balance this challenge of meeting the needs of remote communities. In particular, we're looking at O-negative blood, it's called the universal donor type, which is used for trauma accidents, car accidents, and hospitals, small hospitals in the interior and in the mountains have to stock this in case there's a local accident. But on the other hand, if there isn't an accident, we don't want it to go to waste because there's a shortage. So we're trying to just help them evaluate how their current ordering practices are working and look for ways to meet the needs of people in rural areas, but at the same time protect the overall supply because the supply is very limited.
Now, is this something that is done anywhere else, or are you guys the first to kind of come up with this sort of mathematical model to try to predict the flow of blood and where it's needed and making sure it's getting used and not wasted?
We're certainly not the only ones to look at this mathematically, but I think it's fair to say, I don't know, maybe Jas wants to jump in here, but I think it's fair to say nobody has done the sort of extensive level of analysis that we have. And in particular with the focus on rural communities and remote communities. I think it's fair to say that we're the first to do that. And it was largely, driven by the, Provincial Blood Coordinating Office reached out to us because of the unique challenges here in British Columbia with many remote communities.
Oh, that's so cool. Neat stuff that's happening out there and research that's happening here in BC at Simon Fraser University. Jess, I'll go to you last. What's next here? What happens next?
Well, ultimately, we built a decision support tool, and then the next question would be around implementation. So that's the real challenge with any research like this, the translation to practice. We work directly with laboratory technologists and health authorities throughout the study, which we hope means the findings feel credible and usable to people on the ground.
Well, we'll watch and see. Maybe this will be making its way more widely. It sounds like cool stuff you guys are doing at Simon Fraser University. You got Sandy Rutherford, adjunct professor of mathematics and scientific director at SFU Center for Operations Research and Decision Sciences. And I've got Jas Dahan as well, researcher, applied mathematics at Simon Fraser University, the guy who developed the new model. Great to talk to both of you. Thanks for spending some of your morning with us.
Thanks very much.
It was a pleasure.
Okay, we're going to take a break. We got the 8 o'clock news coming up next. And after that, and our traffic and weather and sports and everything else you need to know to get your day started, we will call somebody to tell them they have won the final CFAX Summer of Rock prize, which is the Guns N' Roses prize. That's all coming up.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeartRadio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning, 8:01 on Monday, June 15th. Another hot day and humid day. We'll get you the full forecast in just a moment, but I will tell you right now, the official temperature in Victoria is 17 degrees, and it's already 20 in some other parts of the city. Right now, let's get to the 8 o'clock news with Lisa Best.
Thank you, Ryan. Good morning. We talk about the heat. One more day of this, and BCSPCA is reminding you about leaving your pet in a hot vehicle, even for a short period of time, can be a problem. Leaving the air conditioning on, the windows down, or parking in the shade may seem like a good option to keep your pet cool, but they're not fail-safe because they shed heat differently than we humans do. Last year, the BCSPC Animal Helpline opened 607 animal protection files about animals being in hot cars. 151 of them was reported on Vancouver Island, the Gulf Islands in Sunshine Coast. If you spot an animal that appears to be in distress in a vehicle, do not break the window. You could be fined for doing that. definitely contact authorities. You can throw a blanket over the window too to keep some of the heat out if necessary while you wait for someone to arrive. After spending the weekend in Ireland to visit his ancestral home, Mark Carney is now off to France for the G7. CTV's Mike Le Couture is traveling with the Prime Minister.
During his two-day visit, Carney tried to deepen economic ties with Ireland. While the Conservatives aren't criticizing the trip, they are lamenting what they call the lack of results.
He's been jetting around the world without negotiating a single new free trade agreement with any country anywhere on planet Earth.
Like making it simpler to do business in Ireland, in Europe, we create enormous opportunity for Canadian jobs.
Economic cooperation will be part of the G7 Leaders Summit over the next 3 days. However, it seems unlikely that CUSMA will be discussed by the Prime Minister and President Donald Trump.
That is the buzz, though, where the U.S. and Iran reaching that initial agreement to end the conflict and open the strait. Donald Trump is calling it a great deal that will bring peace and security to the whole region.
Trump saying that he ordered the immediate removal of the United States naval blockade on Iranian ports. He says the strait will reopen entirely and toll-free after the deal is signed later this week, saying, "Ships of the world, start your engines. Let the oil flow." Iranian officials confirming the deal, which is set to be signed in Switzerland on Friday. Vice President J.D. Vance is expected to attend.
A joint statement on the deal from Canada, France, Germany, Italy, and the UK calls it a diplomatic breakthrough and a moment of opportunity to restore stability to the global economy and the region. In reaction to the word on this deal, oil prices fell to a 3-month low. Locally, prices at the pumps are possibly starting to budge. We're seeing anywhere from a $1.90-ish online to about $2 for a liter of regular gas. So if you want to hold off on the fill-up, it may have a price drop by midweek for us. 2 new wildfires sparking on Vancouver Island yesterday. One southwest of Cedar. Coastal Fire Center says one is considered being held at about a hectare in size. It's on the north side of Nanaimo River. The other is considered under control. That sparked yesterday in the wilderness northwest of Lake Cowichan. A total of 15 fires burning province-wide. 4 new starts in the last 24 hours, including the 2 on Vancouver Island. One of those that is considered burning out of control, and there is only one fire in BC burning out of control. That one is northeast of Terrace, BC. The UK is banning social media for kids under the age of 16, following the lead of many other countries, including Canada. Prime Minister Keir Starmer in that country announcing today, he says he believes fully that big tech is capable of making great products and also protecting children.
The innovation is incredible in AI and what is going on. Don't tell me that it's impossible for those innovators, those people who are brilliant at technology, to devise the ways to protect our children, and I think we should.
Meantime, Anthropic says it has taken its newest AI models offline following a U.S. administration directive to ban their use by foreigners. ABC News senior White House correspondent Selena Wang explained on the Start Here podcast.
It was just days ago that Anthropic rolled out this highly anticipated model, their most powerful one ever, a whole new tier they've named Mythos Class, with a public-facing version called Fable 5. But then on Friday, Anthropic says the U.S. government stepped in, that the government issued what's called an export control directive, telling Anthropic it couldn't let any foreign national access these new models, citing national security, but not giving detail on what those concerns were, according to Anthropic.
We'll have more on this moving forward. And that's your news for now, 8:05. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. Do you support Canada Post ending door-to-door mail delivery? Over 50% say yes, but that's still pretty split. You can vote now at CFAX1070.com, also on the iHeartRadio app. I'm Lisa Best. Your news time is 8:07.
If you entered the Summer of Rock contest for Guns N' Roses last week, don't go anywhere, because we're going to call the winner shortly, and you got to pick up the phone. You got to take the call to win.
Okay. We're waiting.
It's coming right after we
Phone's
do all
in front
this.
of us. Well, wait, not me, because I can't win. But you know what I'm saying.
The CFAX Summer of Rock, powered by the Sax Point Pub. Lisa's not allowed.
No. I've tried.
We've told you no.
A few times.
There's rules. But anyways.
It's a great prize.
Guns N' Roses.
Oh.
So we're going to give away the Guns N' Roses, the Helijet flights, the Rosedale and Robson to somebody who picks up their phone when we call them in just a few minutes. Stand by. Right now, we got to get to the sports. Let's start with the World Cup of Soccer.
This is your TSN Radio FIFA World Cup 2026 update.
I'm John Rodenberg. Two of the favorites got their tournament underway. Germany thundered Curacao, the smallest country ever to make the tournament, 7-1. Kai Havertz had a pair of goals for Germany. The Netherlands had two one-goal leads, but had to settle for a 2-2 draw with Japan. Cote d'Ivoire scored in the 90th minute for a 1-0 win over Ecuador. Sweden blitzed Tunisia 5-1. Today, 4 more games, including a first game for one of the tournament heavyweights. Spain taking on Cabo Verde at noon Eastern. Spain superstar Lamine Yamal has been cleared from injury and could play. Canada arrived in Vancouver on the weekend after their 1-1 draw with Bosnia Friday.
Kone driving forward. Played through towards Kyle Larin! It's Kyle Larin with the goal!
Canada's first ever point at a World Cup. They'll play Qatar on Thursday. You can watch the FIFA World Cup matches on TSN, CTV, Crave, and streaming at tsn.ca. Listen on the TSN Radio Network with all games streaming on the iHeartRadio app.
There you go. And then, there's so much else going on in sports, like the fact that there's a Stanley Cup winner. The Carolina Hurricanes won their very first Stanley Cup in 20 years. It was 2006 last time they hoisted the cup. They beat the Vegas Golden Knights 3-0, taking the best-of-7 championship showdown 4-2, winning 3 in a row after they were trailing 2-1. And Hurricanes coach Rod Brind'Amour, of course, he spent some of his time growing up in Campbell River. He said he's proud of his team and also proud of Captain Jordan Staal for not only winning the Stanley Cup, but for being named the playoff MVP.
I'm proud that he was able to do that in front of the whole hockey world, and everyone got to see now what I've known forever, what kind of player he is, but a leader. We're not hosting that without him. It's just not even close.
And Coach Brind'Amour there also captained Carolina to its 2006 title. So kind of a fun full circle moment there. Local sports real quick. We did see the Pacific FC local soccer team lose to Vancouver FC 2-1 yesterday. Victoria Harbour Cats finished a 3-game series against the Springfield Drifters with a 9-1 win yesterday. So Harbour Cats take 2 of the 3 games after that weekend series. And that's your sports to 8:10. All right, stand by. The phone call's about to happen. We are going to give somebody the CFAX Summer of Rock prize package for Guns N' Roses. Stand by the phone. That call is coming. Oh, I'm so excited. We are going to award somebody the big prize in just a moment. But first, let me drag this up by telling you about traffic and weather. We got major problems on Cook Street, Lisa.
You're mean.
I am mean. But, I mean, Cook Street needs attention because we got the bike lane paving, the concrete going in from Cook southbound Bay to Hillside. Hillside to Bay.
Right, can we just call it high maintenance?
High maintenance Cook Street.
Cook Street's high maintenance right now.
And it's fully closed from Bandora to Mason, so they can't even get through there. So Bay Street's a thing. And you were mentioning the Burnside. You know, you take
It's a thing.
You take Burnside under the Trans-Canada Highway, and for a long time...
As you shoot onto Island Highway.
Yeah, there's been various degrees of delays there for the last little while, but there's an update there, you were saying.
Well, there's a block that's completely shut off.
Yeah.
And it says it's reopening at 5 today.
Oh, good.
So hopefully we can hold them to it. But on the weekend, it was closed, and it was open the other weekend. So if that's a thing for you, if you trying to move into the West Shore on Burnside, where it shoots onto Island Highway, you're going to have to take a detour.
All right. And in the weather forecast, it's the last of our heat event. We've got the humidex of 28 today, temperatures of 26 officially, but it's going to feel like 28. It's a bit more overcast, though, today. A bit of a mix of sun and cloud today. We'll see more clouds overhead. A bit of wind blowing off the Juan de Fuca Strait, too, moderating things a bit. And that's the start of the transition, because by tomorrow we're just kind of into it's still sunny, still warm, high of 22 degrees, but a bit breezier, cooler by the water tomorrow, and just the humidity's kind of leaving us for the rest of the week. But yeah, sunny and warm, just not quite as humid from tomorrow onwards. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Thrifty Foods. This Saturday from 10 to 1, the first 200 kids aged 12 and under receive a brownie that they can decorate for free. It's for Dad, because Father's Day, of course, is coming up. This is at all locations at Thrifty Foods this Saturday, 10 to 1.
Nice.
And on the markets, big jumps across the board. S&P TSX up 345 to 33,283. The Dow is up 627. Those are the numbers.
Yeah, you want to get that one right.
A lot of numbers.
Yeah.
627-point gain so far on the Dow to 51,830. NASDAQ has leapt up 647 to 26,536. Canadian dollar at 71.6 cents US. And the barrel of oil is down $4 to $80.83. A lot of stuff changing with the Iran war, U.S. peace deal being talked about. It's really affecting things today.
Let's get started.
Start your day informed and entertained. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Oh, it's time to give away the CFAX Summer of Rock Guns N' Roses package.
Okay, we're holding steady.
We've gone to the phone. We got to make sure that the name I drew out of the hat is Jesse, okay?
Okay, Jesse. Okay.
But he's got to pick up the phone.
Okay, Jesse.
Is this Jesse right here on the phone?
Hi there.
Hello.
Hey, Jesse.
Jesse, do you remember texting the word rock to CFAX 1070 when we played a Guns N' Roses song last week?
Yes, I sure did.
You sure did. Well, because of your fine effort there.
Texting.
I'm happy to announce that you are the winner.
Yay!
Congratulations.
That's awesome.
Well,
Isn't that cool?
You a big fan?
Yeah, I sure am. Yeah, thank you so much.
Have you seen them in concert before?
I have not.
Well,
no.
it's time.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm speechless. Wow, I don't even know what to say. Thank you so much.
So
amazing.
You've got the 2 tickets. You got Helijet flights. Right. You get to arrive like a rock star in a helicopter. And you got Rosedale and Robson Suite Hotel tickets, all powered by the Sax Point Pub in Esquimalt. Do you know who you're going to take?
I don't. No, not at the moment.
We're free.
Saying. Wow. Yeah, I'm going to have to think about that.
No pressure.
Amazing.
Jesse, have you been on Helijet before?
Oh, there's another one.
I have never done that either. No.
Oh, you're going to feel like a rock star.
Jesse.
Yeah, that's a big improvement from BC Ferries.
Jesse, you are getting a lot of firsts. We're so glad you texted rock to 71010. Thank you so much for listening to CFAX.
All right. Thank you so much.
Congrats.
Hang on the line. Don't go anywhere. I'm just going to talk to you quickly off air. But there you go. That is it. That concludes the CFAX Summer of Rock for now. And who knows? More could come. But
of course. Thanks to Sax Point Pub.
And more is going to come starting tomorrow and all this week. It's not the Summer of Rock. We're going to have a little bit of a Summer of Jazz next.
Oh, you're bringing something different for the heat.
Well, Jazz Fest is like almost here.
That's
like
true.
It's like starts
We're on
this
the cusp.
weekend.
That's right.
So in order to get us ready and primed for Jazz Fest, we are going to be giving away tickets to a bunch of shows all for the rest of this week. We're even going to be meeting some of the artists and talking all about it. So stand by for that starting tomorrow.
Love it.
Jazz Fest, listen all this week for your chance to win. Right now, let's get to the headlines. It's 8:17. Here's Lisa.
Coolio Bot Beach, Botanical Beach, Port Renfrew, officially off the list for Canada Day. Make that Canada Day. Father's Day picnic locations. Getting ahead of myself here. Father's Day, of course, this weekend. The area that spans 47 kilometers in Watafuka Park will be closed for 72 hours this coming weekend. It's to allow members of the Pacheedaht First Nation a chance to harvest marine resources and connect with that part of their territory. The temporary closures to all visitors will begin at 7:30 Friday morning and wrap up for Sunday afternoon. Bot Beach averages 13,000 visitors every month between June and September. It's a wonderful place to hang out. Other day use areas in the park will remain open to Mystic, Sombrio, and China beaches, all completely accessible. The dairy industry is struggling to provide more high-protein products in demand around the world. Athletes and older adults have long used smoothies and shakes that are blended with whey protein concentrate. The food companies have most recently started sprinkling whey protein concentrate into everything from breakfast cereals and potato chips to bagels, tortillas, Starbucks drinks, with this global demand of wanting more protein in our diets. Data provider and agricultural consulting company Everdot Ag Insight says demand for protein content is very firm and seems to be outpacing supply for the time being. And Fox is making a big purchase. It's buying Roku for $22 billion US, or about $160 a share. It's the latest chapter of the ongoing saga of media consolidation as the industry deals with changes and challenges. The deal brings together Fox News' sports channels and news and sports channels, as well as the streaming service Tubi, which was bought in 2020 with Roku. And the U.S. president turned 80 yesterday by announcing an agreement to end the war and open the Strait of Hormuz, and also that UFC cage fighting event on the lawn of the White House. Donald Trump suggesting before the fights that a deal with Tehran is in the mix. However, the details need to be hammered out. That UFC event was also part of the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence stateside, featuring 7 fights and thousands of spectators. That's your news to 8:19.
Well, last week, of course, in the news, we learned that Canada Post is announcing the next wave of homes that will move into community mailboxes instead of door-to-door delivery. So let's learn more about this. Coming up with somebody from Canada Post who's joining us next to explain how it'll all work. So that's in just a moment after traffic and weather. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps for a comfortable home, no matter the season, and big savings on your heating bill. Talk to Coastal Heat Pumps, designed for comfort, the South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Air Stage dealer. Let's take a look at the traffic and weather. Well, the weather first off, because that's the big thing. It's another one of these hot days with the humidity in the air, a humidex of 28, so feeling quite warm again. It's not quite as warm as yesterday. The numbers aren't quite as big as yesterday, but they're still quite warm and humid. Cloudy, few sunny breaks, and a bit of wind off the Juan de Fuca Strait, making it feel a little cooler if you're exposed to that side of the capital region. So that's the story of today. Then it all starts to shift tomorrow, but breezier. Temperatures will be more like a high of 22, but cooler by the water. And then there's sunshine for the rest of the week, but yeah, temperatures in the low to mid 20s. That's where we're sitting after this. Right now, quite warm. The official temperature is 16 degrees at the airport, but we are seeing some temperatures close to around 20 degrees already for some of Greater Victoria. Even warmer if you go up to parts of Shawnigan Lake, where it's 21 degrees at Discovery Elementary School.
It's all here. News, weather, traffic, and community events. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Talking Canada Post, as we learned last week, a number of communities will be seeing their door-to-door delivery end as of next year, and community mailboxes move in. This has already been happening around the country. We just heard that roughly 81,000 British Columbia addresses are on the next list, including Victoria, Esquimalt, Colwood, Langford, Saanich, Songhees Nation, and View Royal, and Nanaimo as well. So to learn more about this, we've reached out to Canada Post, and spokesperson Ariane Sauvé is joining us on the line to talk about it. Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much. So I think a lot of folks kind of have a rough sense of what's going on here, because this isn't like all out of the blue. We've known that there's kind of these waves of transition that have been happening. Some of them have already been happening, but maybe set the scene for the listeners about what's going on here with this change.
Right. So Canada Post's financial situation is no secret for anyone. So with our record loss of $1.5 billion in 2025 and an additional $205 million loss for the first quarter of 2026. So there is no secret that we need to change. We've started our transformation. Transformation is underway. And what we announced last week is that we are expanding the conversion to community mailboxes to an additional 485,000 addresses in 2027 across 37 new communities in Canada. So this is part of a national transformation plan to modernize the postal service and ensure that we can have a financial self-sustainable future.
And like we mentioned, a bunch of local addresses here around Greater Victoria and Nanaimo, Up Island, are on the list. How do you decide who's going when?
Right. Well, the government directive was pretty clear that we need to convert the remaining 4 million addresses that is still receiving door delivery out of the 17.8 million addresses in Canada. So over the next 5 years. So everybody that still received mail delivery to their door will be transitioning to a form of centralized delivery over the next 5 years.
Which looks like those community mailboxes, which will get sort of installed in a neighborhood, and then you'll go over to the mailbox to get your mail.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So the way we've kind of selected the locations is that we want to go gradually, and we've targeted neighborhoods that are adjacent to neighborhoods that already get mail through community mailboxes. And we want to have a good representation across the country, so that's how we selected the sites for this year.
Now, I've had a number of questions since this news got announced last week, and I was wondering if I could just run a few of our listener questions by you.
For sure.
Well, one of them is, if you are going to have less door-to-door delivery, does that mean less post workers? Do layoffs come out of this?
Yeah, so we have a huge opportunity in front of us with the natural attrition that is coming over the next 5-10 years. So a huge portion of our workforce will be retiring. So what we want to do is to kind of match our operational changes with the departures. And what we need to know is that letter carriers have job security, and we just signed a collective agreement. So they are all keeping their job security, so people will not kind of lose their job per se, but we want to use or leverage the attrition to kind of rebalance the network and reconfigure our operations.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. That's one of the questions we've been getting. Another one is around mobility issues. Are there any exceptions? If you struggle to kind of get to a community mailbox, can you still find a way to get the mail delivered to your door?
Totally. So we understand that it's not everybody that it can go to their mailbox, and some people might have some physical limitations. So we do offer a free delivery accommodation program for people who needs it. So it's already being offered to more than 17,000 households across the country. So options include things like moving a compartment lower into the unit if you need to better access. We can add a tray to retrieve the mail more easily, or some people might have some dexterity issues, so we have key turners. And in some situations, we can also offer to continue to deliver the mail to the door once a week for those who absolutely cannot go to the mailbox. So we look at every request individually, and we want to make sure that everybody across the country can still get access to their mail. So it's not a one-size-fits-all. So we have options in place and want to be flexible.
Okay, so if you need that kind of support, you can just reach out and talk to Canada Post about it. And then the other question that we've been getting a lot of is you hear that, hey, in these neighborhoods, you got Victoria, Esquimalt, Colwood, Langford, Saanich, Songhees, Nation, View Royal, Nanaimo. I've mentioned these communities as where the transition's happening. A bunch of people are wondering, like, well, hang on, I live in an apartment. What does this mean for me? Am I changing somehow? So talk about who actually gets affected here, because not everybody is going to see a change.
So for those who receive mail in a form of centralized delivery in their apartment lobby, will continue to receive it that way. But if you're getting it to your door from an external, like from outside or things like that, you will be converted to a community mailbox. So we'll look at everybody's situation, but people who already have a centralized delivery in their apartment building, it won't change.
Okay, very good. I think that helps answer a lot of our questions. Thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything else huge that you wanted to get out there, or a question that you've been getting a lot of that you think is important to communicate?
Well, I think what we need to keep in mind is that community mailboxes are most secure. They are accessible at all times. When we look at it from today's lens and e-commerce, people want to get their mail and parcel in a secure way. So it is, 80% of all parcels delivered by Canada Post fit into the community mailbox compartment. Larger items, those requiring a signature, will continue to be delivered to the door or be redirected to their post offices. So it is good for people. It is a secure way to receive their mail parcel, and we're here to support everybody along the way.
Ariane Sauve is with Canada Post. Thank you so much for answering some of our questions today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, stand by. 8:30 news next on CFAX 1070.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island. Until June 27th, you can lock in for love with the BC SPCA Victoria and raise money to help injured, homeless, and vulnerable animals right here in Victoria. Until July 19th, downtown Victoria is alive with free soccer-themed events, live match screenings, and more. Details at downtownvictoria.ca. Get more event info at CFAX1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Set the table for the weekend with BC Food and Wine Radio. pointing you to great wine buys, outstanding restaurants, insider stories, and all things connected to our amazing food and wine scene. Listen every week as Anthony Gismondi sits down with top winemakers, star chefs, proprietors, and more from all over BC and around the world. Don't miss BC Food and Wine Radio with Anthony Gismondi, Saturday afternoon at 1, right here on CFAX 1070.
CFAX Victoria,
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It is Monday, June 15th, 8:32. A warm one already. Last day of our kind of big heat event, and we'll tell you all about it in weather. But first, over to the news, and here is Lisa Best.
Be careful with your fire use. 2 new wildfires sparking on Vancouver Island yesterday, one southwest of Cedar. Coastal Fire Center said that one is considered being held at a hectare in size. It's on the north side of Nanaimo River. The other is up in the wilderness northwest of Lake Cowichan. That considered under control, so that's good news. There's a total of 15 fires burning province-wide. 4 new starts in the last 24 hours, including those 2. Only one fire in BC currently considered burning out of control. That's a fire burning northeast of Terrace, BC, in northern BC. Speaking of fires, the federal government says that toxic drug crisis continues to have devastating effects despite a decrease in opioid-related deaths last year. The national rate of toxicity deaths declined by 23% last year because of several factors, including naloxone distribution. Canada's Chief Public Health Officer, Dr. Josh Reimer, said today's data offers cautious optimism.
It shows that when we act on evidence, we can make a real difference. By continuing to work together, guided by data and compassion, we can build on this progress and save more lives.
Still, the number of opioid-related deaths in this country remains higher than it was a decade ago when the public drug crisis first emerged. You may want to wait to fill up your gas tank as world markets react positively to a new deal between the U.S. and Iran that could end the war and open the Strait of Hormuz. President for Canadians for Affordable Energy, Dan McTagg, says prices could drop this week.
We're nowhere near where we were back on February the 27th. We weren't paying for summer blend gasoline. That's an extra 8 cents. And we didn't have the benefit of the federal government dropping the excise tax. But it is coming down.
Slightly, we're anywhere from $1.93 to $2.18 for a litre of regular here in Victoria, but that could change by this week. Prime Minister Mark Carney heading to Eastern France today for the G7 summit, a day after the U.S. president announced an agreement has been reached to end the more than 15-week-long conflict with Iran.
While in Ireland on the weekend, Carney told Irish news outlet RTE that the war in Iran would be topic number 1 at the G7. He said Russia's war in Ukraine is also a key issue, as well as trade and emerging technologies. At the summit today in Evian-les-Bains, Carney will meet with the president of the European Council, Antonio Costa, as well as European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, before attending a working dinner. While it's unknown whether Carney and Trump will sit down privately over these next couple of days, Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc and U.S. Trade Rep Jameson Greer are set to connect on the summit sidelines. Karen Rebo, The Canadian Press.
Taking a look at the movie news, it was an interesting weekend at the box office. Steven Spielberg had a very good weekend at the box office for his opening of his new film.
Full disclosure to the whole world.
Disclosure Day earned about $44 million this weekend, well ahead of analyst expectations. It was also enough to put Steven Spielberg's alien thriller in the top spot at the box office this weekend.
I thought we were having a nice day.
Meanwhile, horror fans remain obsessed with Obsession, taking in $19 million for second place.
We back.
And in third place, Scary Movie, sliding 70% from its debut last weekend, made $14.5 million. Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
That's your CFAX News to 8:35. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. We're asking you about Canada Post. Do you support Canada Post ending door-to-door mail delivery? Just over 50% are saying yes, so quite split on our website, CFAX1070.com. You can put a vote there. Also on the iHeartRadio app. I'm Lisa Best. Your news time is 8:37.
Thank you, Lisa. Temperatures are in some places around Greater Victoria already over 20 degrees. It is officially at the airport 16 degrees. But yeah, it's already a hot start to the day. It's going to be hot again today with a humidex of 28. So feeling humid like yesterday. Not quite as hot. Yesterday's temperatures were quite a bit higher, but still warm today. Then it cools off as of tomorrow. Full forecast to come. Just wanted to give you the setup. Is the big hot day again today. Okay, sports. So much going on. All right, let's start with hockey, where the Carolina Hurricanes have won their first Stanley Cup championship in 20 years, beating the Vegas Golden Knights 3-0 and taking the best-of-7 championship showdown 4-2. Hurricanes captain, 37-year-old Jordan Staal, also won the Conn Smythe Trophy for playoff MVP, and he says family on and off the ice has always been one of his big motivations.
I wanted to win that thing so bad, but I wanted to win it so much more for everyone else in that room and how much they deserved it and how hard they've all worked. It just gives me chills that we were able to pull it off for each other, and family was a big reason.
Over to the World Cup of Soccer, where Canada's team is now in Vancouver, where it is getting ready for its next match, which will be played at BC Place Stadium on Thursday against Qatar. Now, the way it's been so far is Canada opened up its tournament with a 1-0 draw against Bosnia-Herzegovina on Friday in Toronto. Qatar, for its part, favored Switzerland with a 1-1 draw on Saturday, leaving all four teams tied in Group B. That's Canada's group, tied for 1 point apiece. Canada's training base during the World Cup for this stretch here is the Whitecaps FC National Soccer Development Centre, which is at the University of BC. So that's where you'll find Team Canada heading towards Thursday. And then for today, European champion Spain faces Cabo Verde to open its quest for a second World Cup title this afternoon. The matchup is the first of 4 games on the schedule. Belgium takes on Egypt later in the afternoon, followed by Uruguay meeting Saudi Arabia, and Iran facing New Zealand in the evening. And in local soccer, Pacific FC with a loss yesterday to Vancouver FC. 2-1 was the score for Vancouver. That means Pacific still looking for its first win of the season, 10 games in. Victoria Harbour Cats beat the Springfield Drifters 9-1 yesterday. And with that, after a 3-game series between those two teams over the weekend here at home, the Harbour Cats take 2 of the 3 games after yesterday's win. And that is your sports to 8:39.
Show with Tony Joe.
Everyone wants to know about real estate. Is the market going up or down? Time to buy or sell? How can government programs and policies affect you? Hear from local experts on topics like appraisal, inspection, investment, and others on how to maximize your real estate sale.
Providing info on everything you needed to know about real estate. The Whole Home Show with Tony Joe. Saturdays at noon on CFAX 1070.
CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. So we've been talking about Cook Street, and there's a lot going on Cook Street. There is the concrete for the bike lanes going in, causing southbound closures from Hillside to Bay. And then full closure between Pandora and Mason on Cook, so you can't get anywhere there, and that's going to be all this week. This texter at 71010 in response to that says the traffic is getting backed up on Yates now between Fernwood and Cook due to the construction, so we're already seeing that kind of tie up some of the surrounding area as well. So watch out for that construction. For the BC Ferries, no sailing weights right now. For the weather forecast, we are looking at a mix of sun and cloud today. We're seeing the mugginess back with us, a humidex of 28 degrees, an official high of 26. So it is technically cooler than it was yesterday, which was probably the peak of our heat event, but it's still kind of carrying into today with more humidity. But a bit of wind starting to build off the Juan de Fuca Strait a little later into the day. It's going to make it feel a little cooler by the Juan de Fuca Strait. And then tonight, still a bit breezy, lows to 14, so we cool off a bit more. Then it's just a mainly sunny day with a lot of wind tomorrow, and temperatures only to 22 degrees. Only 22. Still going to be lovely and summery, just not quite the heat event we've had. And then that's kind of the week we're looking at. It's just sort of sunny, still warm, just a little more moderate. Could get a little warmer on the weekend with temperatures maybe getting back into the mid-20s for Saturday and Sunday, but not quite to the same heat event level as we just went through. I, for one, loved it. I had a wonderful weekend in the heat.
It was good.
Lots of sitting around. Lots of excuses just to sit in the yard and enjoy life.
Nice.
I love those kind of weekends. What's happening on the markets, though, with the talk that maybe there is a Iran-U.S. peace situation? We've seen markets and oil prices move. So for the markets, S&P TSX in Toronto up 297 to 35,235. The Dow in New York is up 634 to 51,836. NASDAQ up 703 to 26,592. And the barrel of oil has been down around about $5 a barrel all morning. Right now it's $4.25 down to $80.63 U.S. a barrel. Canadian dollar at 71.5 cents U.S.
Don't attempt your morning commute without us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
What a busy day. We've got, World Cup of Soccer. We got Stanley Cup winners. We've got all the stuff in the news. We got Iran and U.S. peace deals and oil prices. There's a lot. So maybe...
a lot to take on.
Maybe it's time to take it easy for a moment.
Okay.
Ryan and Lisa's Bird Break. CFAX 1070.
I feel better already.
Feel that stress melting away because of birds. What bird are we going to talk about today, Lisa?
I think we should talk about, we have the urban birds, right? That we see around. We have shorebirds and we have rural birds.
Rural birds.
Right? These are the birds that live way out and they tend to hermit. They don't always want to be around us. So when you do hear them, you get pretty excited, which is what happened yesterday in Metchosin.
Ooh.
So my motorcycle co-instructor, Jeremy, noted this little guy in a tree in Metchosin. He stopped me down. He's like, you got to hear this. You got to hear this. It's called the Swainson thrush. And it sounds like this. Pretty, isn't it?
Ooh.
So they don't look that outstanding, but they sound it. They're a little slim songbird, long wings, medium tail, smaller than a robin, but larger than a sparrow. They're like a medium brown color. They have a spotted chest. That's one thing you might notice. But you really got to look for them. But of course, the main thing you notice on them is their sound. They have a beautiful sound. And they are snowbirds. They go away in the fall. But they actually take tiny power naps when they're flying because they do a pretty, they actually sleep for a few seconds when they're flying because they don't touch ground. And they're one of the most ancient North American species within the genus.
What did you call it?
Swainson's thrush.
Swainson's thrush.
Is what they're called.
Could you play the sound again?
I'm going to play a longer version for you for your bird break. Here we are. There you are.
As heard in Metchosin on your motorcycle.
Yeah, well, we had to turn those off first, actually.
Yes.
But you wouldn't think it. And you try to see the bird, and it's so small, and it just blends. But you'll notice that sound, and that's called the Swainson thrush.
It's your CFAX 1070 Bird Break. Well, now we've got to get to the news, though. It's 8:45. What's happening, Lisa?
Yeah, other things going on. Prime Minister Mark Carney is off to Eastern France today for the start of the G7 summit. Before leaving Ireland yesterday, Carney says he expects geopolitics to loom large over the week's discussion, even now more so with the word of the U.S.-Iran peace deal. Carney also told reporters he doesn't expect to talk much about Kuzma with the U.S. president, but instead he does anticipate conversations to happen on the sidelines of the summit between trade or lack of between the two nations, and of course what's happening with the tariff tiff as well. Something Vancouver didn't need was a full-scale strike by some 700 unionized workers in town. This is Metro Vancouver, of course, on the world's radar with the Games underway. The Greater Vancouver Regional District's Employees Union says members have been without a contract for 17 months and is accusing the city's management of ignoring their concerns. Metro Vancouver says it does respect the rights for job action. The latest effort on their part was a wage bump of more than 10% over 3 years, so we'll keep you posted on what happens next in that department. And the U.S. president marking his 80th birthday, announcing an end possibly to the war, and also that UFC cage fighting event on the White House lawn, quite surreal. The UFC event, which was also part of the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, featured 7 fights and thousands of spectators. Trump, as a master of political division, that is, also said the event could be seen as a deliberate distraction from rising oil prices and, of course, his low approval ratings currently. And that's your news to 8:47.
I want to talk hotels next. So the folks at Destination Greater Victoria have been making presentations to local councils recently on the findings of their hotel development working group. Well, what did they find? What are they talking about? Let's get Paul Nursey, CEO of Destination Greater Victoria, up on the line to chat with him next, right after we do our traffic and weather. If you have any updates on how all the construction work on Cook Street is affecting your commute or maybe some of the surrounding roads, feel free to let us know at 71010.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island. Until June 27th, you can lock in for love with the BC SPCA Victoria and raise money to help injured, homeless, and vulnerable animals right here in Victoria. Until July 19th, downtown Victoria is alive with free soccer-themed events, live match screenings, and more. Details at downtownvictoria.ca.
Get more event info at CFAX1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
CFAX activity, traffic, and weather. But first, before we get to that, Lisa, texter here at 71010 says, thank you for the bird call. I've been trying to identify that bird every spring for the last few years. So there we go, helping somebody out with the bird. All right, over to our traffic and weather. We have a couple of issues on Cook Street. There is a full closure, Pandora to Mason on Cook, as they're doing some connection to one of the local construction projects there. So full closure all this week, including today. And then they're today paving's the wrong word. They're pouring some of the concrete for the bike lanes on Cook Street. So still on Cook Street. This is southbound Hillside to Bay. So watch out for obstructions there as well. The weather forecast, hot again today. It's the final day of this sort of like heat thing we're getting through with all the humidity. Humidex of 28 today. Otherwise, it's a high of 26. Otherwise, it's cooler by the water because the wind's going to start blowing off the Wandafuka Strait today. It starts to ease off and cool off as of tomorrow and for the rest of the week. But it's still warm and sunny. It's going to be sunny all week. We're going to get temperatures in the low to mid 20s just without some of this extra layer of humidity we've had for the last few days.
Thanks for starting your day with us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Okay, what is happening with hotels in Victoria and the need for space here? Destination Greater Victoria has been making presentations to local councils about their hotel development working group and the findings that they have had. So here to talk about it is Paul Nursey. He's president and CEO of Destination Greater Victoria. Paul Nursey, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Yourself, Brian?
Good to talk to you. So I know, for instance, I think on Thursday you were at Victoria City Council making a presentation. You've been presenting to a few councils about what we're finding with hotel spaces and the need for it in Victoria. Talk about what you've been telling everybody.
Yeah, to provide some background, and this is well published for those who follow the news or the business news, we have a 10-year destination plan about, the future, looking generations into the future, which ensures our competitiveness. And then we're tackling all sorts of different things, and part of that is hotel capacity. We developed and chaired a hotel development working group, very similar to what has also happened in Vancouver, to look into the future, to what our community would need. And that report was issued. There was quite a bit of press around it. 5 municipalities were active participants, so we're just doing delegations to those councils. We were at View Royal on Tuesday, and then City of Victoria on Thursday. And I can share there's a very strong appetite from the political level to be a bit more competitive in terms of ensuring there's a better dialogue between hotel developers and councils.
And the bottom line in this is we've just found we are short a lot of hotel space, right? That's the main issue.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. Yes. The answer is yes. This evolves over time and business conditions and market conditions. But we're in a position now, kind of a generational opportunity once in 20 years, where the market is very strong and other development categories are weak. And so we do have an opportunity because it's a very complicated asset class. So we want to seize the opportunity and see if we can get a handful of hotels built because we have lost 2,500 rooms in the last 15 years, and our goal is to get about 2,000 full service hotel rooms within the next 10 years.
And you mentioned that this is an opportunity because of some of the market conditions right now. But what would municipalities need to do? And I guess maybe that's part of the reason you're going to municipalities to talk to them about it. What would you need to see from the municipal level to make this actually happen?
Well, first of all, I will say, at our working group level, it was staff. It was planning staff, economic development staff. And they don't actually, while they support council, they don't make the political decisions, right? So there needs to be both political support and technical kind of managerial support. And staff were very, very engaged and very constructive. But it depends by the municipality, but mostly developers and the financiers behind them would like to see some certainty in terms of the time of the development process. And a lot of improvements have been made in housing. And then in different municipalities, there could be things like office conversions or heritage retrofits that are more specific to those municipalities. But also what took place, both at the staff level and with council, is just some basic education around the pro formas, the financial drivers, and an understanding that, bylaws may intersect with hotel brand standards and things like that. So it was part education, part recommendation. And we're very pleased with how it's gone so far.
And I guess just last week we had that news of the the BC Utilities building? I can't remember the name of it. Blanchard
Power Commission, I think it's called. Yeah, the old
And that's another kind of heritage. That's you mentioned possibilities here could be heritage conversions into this kind of thing, and I guess that's an example of that.
Yeah, and what a great experience for our visitors to, whether it be the Ducks building on Broad Street, which is under construction, to have part of our story as our city, our historical story, worked into the guest experience. So, I think the reality in downtown Victoria is that there are less office workers here. Government workers are by and large remote these days. We need that economic vitality. So, and hotels and the visitor economy is performing right now. So, if there's market opportunities, we really do hope, and this is happening. I'm sensing a fresh attitude from staff and planners that they are receptive. They're not going to get in the way unnecessarily, be overly bureaucratic. Of course, they have a job to do, but we want to make sure that things get done tastefully, but they get done on a reasonable timeline.
What happens next year? So you're going around to councils hoping for, I guess, some partnership in this and maybe some changes to bylaws and whatnot to make it all work. But what happens next year?
Well, I think there's a strong desire. There's a very strong desire from all municipalities. And the suburban municipalities are very motivated as well, too. They want diversification in their tax base. Hotels do provide a lot of property taxes and amenities as well in terms of emergency services, participation in the community, charity giving, all those things. They want the positive benefits of hotels, not to mention the economic stimulation and the businesses that pop up around them. So we see very strong support. We're going to keep this working group together, maybe at a reports published. We're going to go into the market together. There's some hotel development attraction conferences. We're going to attend those and have a cohesive Greater Victoria kind of pitch to help stimulate some of that investment. And again, we do not want to overbuild. I want to stress we don't want to overbuild. There's still about 1,200 Airbnbs in the region, even with the the provincial changes. We want to make sure that there's a staggered and logical rebuild of our lost inventory, and I think we're on a pathway to do that, which would be a great outcome for the region.
Just touching base on what is continuing to be a push towards more hotel space, which is needed in the Victoria region, the whole area. Paul Nursey, CEO, Destination Greater Victoria. Always great to talk to you about things going on and the need for hotels. We'll catch up, I'm sure, as this moves forward.
Great. Thanks very much. Take care.
All right. There he is, Paul Nursey. And yeah, we'll talk hotels. But we'll talk all kinds of things. We'll talk about the CFAX Summer of Rock because we gave away our final CFAX Summer of Rock prize today. Congratulations again to Jesse, who picked up the phone earlier this hour and was the big winner of the Guns N' Roses tickets in BC at BC Place Stadium. Right now it's soccer. Come August, it's going to be Guns N' Roses at BC Place Stadium, and Jesse is going. He's got Helijet flights on the helicopter. He's got Rosedale and Robson Suite Hotel accommodations, all powered by the Sax Point Pub and Esquimalt. Congratulations, Jesse. That's it for us. Thanks so much for listening. Lisa's